is coming under the general category. During that time, the opportunity was given only 4 attempts for general and 7 attempts for the OBC, because we were provided only 7 attempts. I am also one of the candidate who utilized only 7 chances. But you are blessed. You are having 6 attempts in case if you are coming under general, and 9 attempts if you are coming under the OBC. But during that time, only 4 and 7. So he was given only 4 opportunity. All the time he had the opportunity to clear the prelims and appeared for the mains. One time he had the opportunity to appear for the personality test also. Since 2015, he has been associated with many IAS academies in Hyderabad. There is one academy like Kingmakers IAS Academy in Chennai. There is one academy in Hyderabad called Law Excellence. Law Excellence, again, they have more than 1,000 students. And there he was associated for so many years. And another IAS Academy, Narayana, in Hyderabad. There also he worked for some time. So since then, he has been handling various subjects, particularly on Indian polity and other things. He's also good at current affairs and other areas. When I interacted with the sir, we felt very happy to associate with him, to work with him, because this year, 2026, it's going to be again one of the important year for the Kingmakers IAS Academy. Like previous years, where we established our branches in different parts of our state. And 2023, we established our branch in Delhi. 2026, we are going to establish our branch in Hyderabad. Sir is the coordinator and project director in Hyderabad for Kingmakers IAS Academy. So most probably within a month, we will be having an inauguration in Hyderabad. And this year, 2026, not only in Hyderabad, but also we are going to set up our branch in Trivandrum as well as in Bangalore. So our academy is going to have a pan-India field. I'm sure the candidates, those who were given training in the last few years for the personality test, they are all from different parts of the country. They are all from Bangalore, Hyderabad, and some other place. They also assured us that they will also extend their support and cooperation, not only to deliver the lectures, but also to come as a motivational speaker. So they are all going to be part of our team. Already we have discussed. In Hyderabad, we have excellent team. Bangalore, already we have excellent team. Almost everywhere. And coming July onwards, as I told you earlier, our advisor, our former chairman, National Disaster Management Authority, Shri Tripukal IAS sir, who was the advisor to our Prime Minister of India, is going to formally associate with the Kingmakers IAS Academy as an advisor to Kingmakers IAS Academy growth and development. So I'm sure 2026 is going to be the greatest year, not only in terms of the expansion, in terms of branches and other things, but also in terms of results and in terms of quality, in terms of the good people association, and so on. So with this good note, and also I'm also very happy to inform another thing. Maybe Monday or Tuesday, another great gentleman, again, greatest motivator, Sri Sailendra Babu IPS, formerly already associated with the Kingmakers IAS Academy now. Monday is coming here. So otherwise Tuesday he'll be coming here. So he's also going to be part of our team. Coming March 8th, he's going to address 1,000 students in a seminar which is organized by Kingmakers IAS Academy in Ethiraj College Auditorium. The seminar is going to be is organized in association with the Vigadan Group. Kingmakers IAS Academy is organizing for which Sailendra Babu sir is going to come as a chief guest. Another IAS officer is going to come from Bangalore. That IAS officer is going to help us in Bangalore branch. He is also a very famous IAS officer in Bangalore. So he is from Tamil Nadu, but settled in Bangalore. So all the senior most bureaucrats are going to be in one place. Like all best faculties are going to be in one place. All the greatest motivational speakers, all the greatest resource persons who have inspired lakhs of aspirants in Tamil Nadu, like Irainbu sir, Thirupugal sir, Ravi sir, ADGB Ravi sir, and Sailendra Babu sir. Everyone, they are going to come in 2026. They are all going to inspire you. Already we have an excellent team. So these people, when they are going to join together, it's going to add a greatest still another value. So like this, one more gentleman is going to be added in our excellent team of resource person, Mr. Hari Nath Reddy. So on behalf of the Kingmakers IAS Academy, I take this opportunity to welcome him. So I'm sure in the today's session, the session on 16th Finance Commission, okay, it's a recommendation which is going to be compared with the 15th Finance Commission recommendation. It's going to be really helpful for your prelims as well as for your mains as well as for your personality test. He has already prepared some PPT and some content which has been shared in the Telegram group. So already we have given it to you. Please go through that content once if you have all reached your home or hostel or whatever it is. And as I told you yesterday, these are all the facts-based documents which you may forget if you don't revise it within a stipulated time. So I request each and every one of you to attend this session and make use of this session very seriously, because this recommendation will give you a kind of clear picture about the direction in which the government is intent to go, right? So that kind of document, it is 16th Finance Commission recommendation. So what kind of relationship they have with the state and central, and whether real the cooperative federalism, whether it exists or not, what kind of changes they are trying to bring in terms of tax or sharing of the taxes or levying of the taxes. Everything will be discussed here. So this document is really a wonderful document. You can also quote with some good examples in your mains as well as in your prelims. So when I interacted with the sir, he showed me all the presentation. I was really impressed. Then I requested sir to spend 2 hours or 2.5 hours, whatever the time it is required to complete this syllabus. So please be with us and give your feedback. Try to interact with him. Although it is a first session for him at Kingmakers IAS Academy. For a teacher, any stage is it's a normal stage, right? For him, it's not a new, but for you, you may think that is a new faculty. Don't think like that. Feel free like you are interacting with Adil sir or Sabri sir or Sadiq sir or whomever it may be, so that you can clear your doubt. Okay? Thank you so much. So நல்ல ஒரு அப்ளாஸ் ஓட சாரை வந்து மீட் பண்ணலாம்.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. How to use the pen on this one? Select one color. No, not black. Okay. If I have to move further. Okay, then if I want to use a plain board to write. What is this pen? Where is the pen? Pencil, that is pencil, huh?
Yeah. Just one.
Okay, this is okay now. White is better, I think. This one. Okay. Then if I have to get back to the PPT. This side. Why it has okay. Oh, good evening, all. See, how many of you have at least read in the newspapers about the 16th Finance Commission report? Anyone? It has come in the newspapers. When the report was submitted to the Parliament? The report of the 15th Finance Commission. The report came in November 2025, but it was not in the public domain till recently. So it was tabled in the Parliament on February 1st, along with the budget. So then it became a public document. And as you know, the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission of India, they remain in implementation for the next 5 years. So it becomes important not just for next year, for the next 5 years, the same report, both for prelims and mains exam. So 2026-27 to 2030-31. So this is the 5-year period for which the report will be under implementation. So report of 16th Finance Commission of India. So next 2 to 3 hours. So my discussion on the report will be something like this. First, I will take you through the PYQs. So what are the questions which have come on Finance Commission of India in the prelims exam? Why is that necessary? If you know how questions have come in the past, you can make a reasonable guess how they can come in the future. 6 questions have come roughly. Then what are the questions which have come in the mains exam on Finance Commission of India, both in general studies, public administration optional, PSR optional. Then for say maybe 1 hour, I will discuss with you the basic terms. Straight away, if you read the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission, you cannot understand them. You are required to have some clarity on certain basic terms. So I will try to spend 1 hour, roughly 1 hour, on explaining the basic terms. Once that is done, we will get into the recommendations, actual recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission. And there are certain words which were used in the report like T, T1, T2, but you don't find the explanation for this in the report of the 16th Finance Commission. You find the explanation in the 15th Finance Commission. So unless you read this report along with the earlier report, you cannot really appreciate that. All this is a burden for the students to do that. It runs into 364 pages. So it is neither necessary for you to read nor possible also. Okay. So let me take you through the PYQs in the prelims exam. Most of us, we are under the impression that when it comes to the UPSC exam in the prelims, most of us believe that most questions they are based on conceptual clarity, your understanding of the subject. That is true, but there are few questions which do come on facts where your memory to remember the facts is also tested. Not that every question is based on clarity. It is based on concept or understanding. So some questions they are fact based. So I will tell you how. So you need to remember them. Facts not easy to remember. You should revise them again and again or discuss with friends, write multiple times. That's how you remember the facts. And facts are also important for your mains exam. Some of the important facts, you can use them for value addition in the mains answers, especially when you write answers on Indian economy, to some extent on science and technology. Facts, they add value to your answer. Okay. So see the questions which have come in the prelims exam on Finance Commission of India. This is one question which came in 2025. Which of the following statements with regard to recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission of India are correct? So maybe from this year, you may not get questions on the earlier reports. What is the period of the 15th Finance Commission report? 2021-22 to 2025-26. So by March 31st, 2026, the implementation of the 15th Finance Commission will get over. So we are entering into the period of the 16th Finance Commission. Probably you can expect at least one question this year in the prelims exam because the report is out. There are some changes. So you might be aware of vertical devolution, horizontal devolution. We'll explain all of that. So the criteria for horizontal devolution, there are changes. On that, you can expect a question in the prelims exam. So on any recommendation you can get, but the most important part is what are the changes in the criteria for horizontal devolution. So one question in the prelims, sure. One question in the mains exam, sure. So the report of 16th Finance Commission of India, very, very important. Not just for next 1 year, for the next 5 years. Then see the statements. Which of the following statements with regard to the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission of India are correct? See the first statement. It has recommended grants of rupees 4,800 crores from the year 2022-23 to the year 2025-26 for incentivizing states to enhance educational outcomes. So what are the facts here? He was referring to the quantum of money which is allocated. That is a fact. If you are not sure of this fact, you will not get to know whether the statement is right or wrong. Then I said the report is for 21-22 to 25-26. But what is the statement saying? These grants will be made available from the second year, that is 22-23. That's again a fact. So this question will tell you that facts are also important. So grants which are given for education sector, they are not given for 5 years. They are given only for 4 years, the last 4 years. 21-22 is the first year. For that year, grants are not given. For the next 4 years, 22-23 to 25-26, the grants are given. So this is the right statement. See the second statement. 45% of the net proceeds of union taxes are to be shared with states. So here comes in two basic terms. Gross tax revenue. You should know what is gross tax revenue. Then the second term, divisible pool of taxes. The other name for divisible pool of taxes is net proceeds of taxes. So the second statement is saying that all the 28 states, they get 45% of the net proceeds of taxes. Is that a right statement? That is a wrong statement. How much it is? 41. So second statement is incorrect. See the third statement. Again, this is a fact-based statement. 45,000 crores are to be kept as performance-based incentive for all states for carrying out agricultural reforms. This is again 45,000 crores. This is a fact. This is a right statement. Then fourth one, it has introduced tax effort criteria to reward fiscal performance. As I just told you, if all the 28 states, if they get certain share in the net proceeds of the taxes, this money has to be distributed among the 28 states, for which there is a criteria that is called criteria for horizontal devolution. So you have some 6 criteria. One of them is fiscal effort. So that is a right statement. So the answer is 1, 3 and 4. So here my job is not to explain the answer. My job is to tell you how the questions are coming. So I can't spend more time on explaining the answer for these questions because we have to complete the report of the 16th Finance Commission. So what are the conclusions from the first question? Facts are also important. Facts are also important. Then see the second question. This came in 2023. Consider the following. For horizontal tax devolution, the 15th Finance Commission used how many of the above as criteria other than population area and income distance? Population area, income distance. They are also the criteria. In addition to these 3, from the list given, what are the items in this list which form the criteria for horizontal devolution? That's the question. So which means you need to remember the criteria for horizontal devolution. What are the different criteria? What is the weightage for each criteria? So you don't have these two, governance reforms, stable government. These two are not the criteria for horizontal devolution recommended by 15th Finance Commission. You don't see them. So only 3, 1, 2 and 5. Okay. So similarly, as the report has come recently, the 16th Finance Commission has come up with a new criteria that is called contribution to GDP. In the existing criteria, it has made changes to the weights assigned. So on that there can be a question. The report of the 16th Finance Commission has come up with a new criteria for horizontal devolution called contribution to GDP. So this was given a weightage of 10%. So that is the question in 2023. With reference to the 14th Finance Commission of India, which of the following statements is or are correct? This came in 2015. It has increased the share of the states in the central divisible pool from 32 to 42%. This is a right statement. There is something called alternate scheme of devolution that I will explain in course of time. From 1950 till 2000, for almost 50 years, all the taxes in the union list, they are not shared with states. Some are shared, some are not shared. Income tax is shared, central excise duty is shared, corporation tax not shared, customs duty not shared. So in 2000, 10th Finance Commission said the union government must share all the union taxes with the states. That was the big change in 2000. That was called alternate scheme of devolution. So what the 14th Finance Commission has done is, 14th Finance Commission was headed by Y. Venugopal Reddy. So earlier the share of all the 28 states in the divisible pool of central taxes was 32%. It has recommended increasing it to 42%, a sudden jump from 32 to 42. So that's the most important recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission. That is a right statement. That is a right statement. Take the second one. It has made recommendations concerning sector-specific grants. See, in the Constitution of India, there is an article called Article 275. So grants given to the states by the union government on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. Under these grants, they are of various types: revenue deficit grants, sector-specific grants, state-specific grants, like that. So the second statement says that it has made recommendations concerning sector-specific grants. This is an incorrect statement. 14th Finance Commission has not recommended. 15th has recommended. Again, 16th has not recommended. Right? So the second statement is wrong. This was a question in 2012. This is a pretty easy question. Which of the following is among the noticeable features of the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission 2012? And this is not the easy question. The next one is the easy question. See the first statement. A design for the goods and services tax and a compensation package linked to adherence to the proposed design. So 13th Finance Commission has recommended what should be the design for GST. What is GST? GST, it is the biggest indirect tax reform in India. When did it come into operation? July 1st, 2017. So this was recommended by 13th Finance Commission. And when GST comes into operation, there is a possibility that the states may lose revenue. For the possible loss of revenue, the states will be compensated by the central government through a cess called compensation cess. That was also recommended by 13th Finance Commission. So the first statement is correct. The second one, a design for the creation of lakhs of jobs in the next 10 years in consonance with India's demographic dividend. This has got nothing to do with the recommendations of any finance commission. It is not the job of the finance commission to recommend creation of jobs. That doesn't come under there is something called terms of reference. Every finance commission, when it was constituted, it was asked to give recommendations on certain things. For example, how much the states should get in the divisible pool of the central taxes. Then how this money has to be shared among the 28 states. These are the terms of reference. So the terms of reference of the Finance Commission of India does not include the second statement. So second one is incorrect. Devolution of a specified share of central taxes to local bodies as grants. I just told you about divisible pool. What 13th Finance Commission has said is, when the union government gives grants to the local bodies, give this money as a share in the divisible pool. If you give it as a share in the divisible pool, with increase in the tax revenues of the union government, local bodies will also get an increase in the revenue. So the third statement is also right. Second one is incorrect. This was in 2011. not a difficult question. This was an easy question. With reference to the Finance Commission of India, which of the following statements is correct? It encourages the inflow of foreign capital for infrastructure development. This has got nothing to do with the Finance Commission recommendations. It facilitates the proper distribution of finances among the public sector undertakings. This is also not correct. It ensures transparency in financial administration. This is also not directly related to Finance Commission. That is not the job. So none of these statements is the answer. Last question. Finance Commission aims to safeguard the fiscal autonomy of the states. Assertion. This is a right statement. I will demonstrate in course of time. For example, if you take the recommendations of the 11th Finance Commission of India, 11th Finance Commission of India has recommended a share of 29.5%, 29.5% in the divisible pool of central taxes. That has increased to 41. What the 16th Finance Commission has recommended, 41. 29.5% to 41% is the increase in the share of the states in the divisible pool. So in other words, the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India, they have increased the financial autonomy of the states by recommending more and more money reaching from the union to the states. So that's a right statement. Reason, Finance Commission of India is constituted every 5th year. Is that a right statement? It can be constituted even earlier also. Every 5 years or even earlier. This is the wording in Article 280. If you read Article 280, Article 280 says the President of India can constitute the Finance Commission every 5 years or even earlier. So reason statement is incorrect. So these are the questions which have come on Finance Commission of India. Do you think that these questions are easy? Maybe the last 2 questions are easy. The first 4 questions, unless you read the report at a greater depth, you can't get them right. So questions, see, in the last 4-5 years, in the prelims exam has become much more difficult than the mains exam. Okay? In the UPSC mains exam, we can guess most of the questions, 70 to 80% of the questions, we can make a reasonable guess. But that is not the case with prelims exam. Out of 100, having at least 25 to 30 questions in the paper, which you know very difficult. So it is the prelims paper which is becoming difficult year on year. Okay, so that's about the prelims questions. Then questions which have come in the mains exam. So this question came in 2021. How have the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission of India enabled the states to improve their fiscal position? Take the 11th Finance Commission. 11th Finance Commission said 29.5. 12th said 30.5. 13th said 32. 14th said suddenly 42. 32 to 42. So it is because of the recommendations of the 14th Finance Commission of India, there was a sudden jump, sudden increase in the share of the states in the divisible pool of taxes. That has greatly increased the fiscal autonomy, the financial autonomy of the states. So that was a very important development in the center-state financial relations. That's why the question came in 2021. How is the Finance Commission of India constituted? What do you know about the terms of reference of the recently constituted Finance Commission? I just told you, terms of reference means what are the areas on which the Finance Commission of India is expected to give its recommendations. That's the question in 18. Third question, what is the function of the Finance Commission in India? Discuss the criteria for the devolution of taxes to the states recommended by the 14th Finance Commission. So this question in 15, it was on the criteria, the different criteria which was used for horizontal devolution. Okay, so these are the questions in the prelims, questions in the mains exam. Let's move to the basic terms. Give the heading, basic terms related to Finance Commission of India. See, is Indian Constitution a federal constitution? What do we say? Whatever. Is it federal or not? I'm not asking whether it is quasi-federal, truly federal. Is it federal? Is it federal? It is federal. What is the basis for federalism? Is it separation or a division? See, powers can be divided in two ways. One is horizontal division or functional division. The second one, vertical division or territorial division. We know that every modern government has got three branches: executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch. So if the functions of the government are divided among the three branches, that is called a functional division. It is also called horizontal division. So union government, it has got Supreme Court, Parliament, Prime Minister and Council of Ministers. They are all at one level. That is called horizontal. And similarly, there is one more division of powers, which is called vertical division or territorial division. So the basis to call any constitution as a federal constitution is division of executive powers and legislative powers. So in the 7th schedule, Article 246, there you see the division of executive powers and the legislative powers between the center and the states. That is called vertical division. That is also called a territorial division. Parliament can make laws for the entire territory of India. Legislature of Tamil Nadu can make laws for the territory of the state of Tamil Nadu. This is called territorial division, vertical division. So the Constitution of India is federal. Is federalism part of the basic structure? The Supreme Court said several times, federalism is one of the basic features of the Indian Constitution. What do you mean by that? It cannot be taken away from the Constitution even through an amendment under Article 368. That's the meaning of federalism. Then if you take the 7th schedule under Article 246, we have three lists. List 1, union list. List 2, state list. List 3, concurrent list. In 1950, when the Constitution came into operation, the union list had 97 items. But what about today? It has got 98 items. Similarly, if you take the state list, in the original Constitution of India, which came into operation in 1950, state list had a 66 items. 66. What about today? 59. What happened? In 1976, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, 5 items from the state list, they are moved to concurrent list. 66 minus 5, 61. The recent 101 amendment relating to GST has deleted 2 more entries from the state list. Entry 52, entry 55. So 61 minus 2, 59. So the state list now contains 59 items. Concurrent list. Original Constitution 47 items. Now we had 52. How 47 became 52? 1976, 5 items from the state list, they came to concurrent list. So Article 246, 7th schedule speaks about division of executive, legislative and financial powers. So with respect to all the subjects in the union list, Parliament is supreme. The union government is supreme. With respect to subjects in the state list, state legislature is supreme. State government is supreme. So then we also call Indian federalism by several other ways. We say cooperative federalism. We say competitive federalism. We say asymmetrical federalism. We also say combative federalism. Then what is cooperative federalism? We say that Finance Commission of India is a very good example for cooperative federalism. One more example for cooperative federalism, GST Council. GST Council, again, a very shining example for cooperative federalism. And what do you mean by cooperative federalism? There was a question in 2017 in the general essay paper for 125 marks. Cooperative federalism, it has come in the general essay paper in 2017 for 125 marks. Several questions came in GS2 on cooperative federalism and competitive federalism. So what do you mean by cooperative federalism? See, to put it very simple, creating or facilitating cooperation between the center and the states is called cooperative federalism. But the actual definition, write down. A British scholar by name Anthony Harold Birch a British scholar by name Anthony Harold Birch. He gave a comprehensive definition for cooperative federalism. Anthony Harold Birch, a British scholar, gave a comprehensive definition for cooperative federalism. Now write down the definition. Cooperative federalism refers to mutual interdependence. Cooperative federalism refers to mutual interdependence between the national and regional governments. Cooperative federalism, it refers to mutual interdependence between the national and regional governments. Cooperative federalism, it refers to mutual interdependence between the national and regional governments, full stop. What do you mean by mutual interdependence? Central government depending on the states, state governments depending on the center. Can you give an example for each one of these two? Is the central government dependent on the states for anything? Have you heard about centrally sponsored schemes? What are centrally sponsored schemes? Yes? Come again? No, that is an example. I am asking the definition. How do you define centrally sponsored schemes? That is funding pattern. Write down. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes which are taken up. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes which are taken up on the subjects in the state list. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes which are taken up on the subjects in the state list as well as in the concurrent list. Centrally sponsored schemes are those schemes which are taken up on the subjects in the state list as well as in the concurrent list, designed by union government, comma, implemented through state governments, and funded by both center and states. So this is the definition. Say for example, health is in which list? Health is in the state list. We have a scheme called Ayushman Bharat. Similarly, education is in which list? Concurrent list. We have a scheme called Samagra Shiksha. That is the scheme for entire school education, class 1 to 12. Employment is in the concurrent list, Manrega. So centrally sponsored schemes are designed by whom? Union government. On the subjects in the state list as well as in the concurrent list, not in the union list. A scheme which is designed on a subject in the union list, that is called central sector scheme. So if it is a central sector scheme, it is designed on the subject in the union list, designed by union, implemented by union, fully funded by union. But centrally sponsored schemes, they are taken up on the subjects in the state list and also in the concurrent list. Design is by union government. Implementation, states. This is an example. The union government is dependent on the state governments for implementing the centrally sponsored schemes designed by the union government. Of course, funding for the centrally sponsored schemes, it comes from both center and state governments. Somebody said 60:40. 60% of the funds from the center, 40% from the states. This is an example for the union government depending on the states. Write down. The union government depends on the state governments. The union government depends on the state governments. The union government depends on the state governments for implementing for implementing the centrally sponsored schemes. For implementing the centrally sponsored schemes. Okay? Do you know how much the union government gives every year to the states for these schemes? Write down roughly 6 lakh crores. So budget 2026-27, in this budget, the total money given by the union government for all the states for centrally sponsored schemes, around 6 lakh crores. 6 lakh crores. 6 lakh crores. Write down the next one, central sector schemes. Central sector schemes. What is the size of the union budget? What is the size of the union budget? Roughly 54 lakh crores. 54 lakh crores. Out of this budget, the union government spends 18 lakh crores on central sector schemes, which means more money is spent on central sector schemes, not on centrally sponsored schemes. So write down. A central sector scheme is a scheme. A central sector scheme is a scheme. A central sector scheme is a scheme which is taken up on a subject in the union list. A central sector scheme is a scheme which is taken up on a subject in the union list, comma, designed by union government, designed by union government, designed by union government, fully funded by union government, the entire money given by union government, designed by union government, fully funded by union government, and implemented by union government, and implemented by union government. A central sector scheme is a scheme which is taken up on a subject in the union list, designed by union government, fully funded by the union government, and implemented by union government. Example, NHDP. One example, National Highways Development Program. National Highways Development Program. See, we have state highways, national highways. Where do you find the mention of national highways in the 7th schedule? In the 7th schedule, we have union list, state list, and concurrent list. Where do you find national highways? It's there in the union list. So, NHDP is an example for central sector scheme. Write down one more line. In budget 2026-27, in budget 2026-27, in budget 2026-27, the allocation, in budget 2026-27, the allocation for central sector schemes, the allocation for central sector schemes, the allocation for central sector schemes is around 18 lakh crores, 18 lakh crores. Okay, then see, Finance Commission of India is balancing wheel. Why is it called the balancing wheel? Don't write, answer me. Finance Commission of India, it is described as the balancing wheel. And these are the keywords which you must use in your mains answers. Why is it called balancing wheel? Yes? Yeah, it tries to preserve the federalism, the idea of federalism. How it does it? So by recommending a share to the states in the central government tax revenues. See, Finance Commission of India, it is called the balancing wheel because it tries to address vertical imbalances and also horizontal imbalances. What do you mean by vertical imbalances? To give a very simple example, I am the teacher and all of you are the students, with one or two exceptions. Compared to the students, the teacher is more knowledgeable. There may be one or two exceptions. Students can also be more informed than the teacher, but rare. So in terms of knowledge, I am much more informed compared to you. So there is a hierarchy. I belong to earlier generation, you are younger generation. So we are in a hierarchy that is called vertical. Among all these students, is it that all the students are equally informed? No, some are well informed, some are poorly informed. So these are called horizontal imbalances. So the Finance Commission of India, it tries to address vertical imbalances and also horizontal imbalances. That's why it is called balancing wheel. Then what do you mean by vertical imbalances? For example, if you take the union government, the revenue raising capacity of the union government is far superior compared to the development responsibility. On the other hand, if you take the state governments, the revenue raising capacity of the state governments is very limited, but states have got huge developmental responsibilities. For example, take the state list. Health is in the state list. Agriculture, rural development, drinking water, sanitation, law and order maintenance, all these subjects, they are in the state list. They need a lot of money. But where is the money? The money is with the central government. These are called vertical imbalances. Vertical. The capacity of the union government to generate revenues is very high compared to the responsibilities. On the contrary, on the opposite, the capacity of the state governments to generate revenues is limited, but they have got huge developmental responsibilities. I will give an example. Assume that in your family, you have a grandfather, father, and yourself. Grandfather is a retired IAS officer. He gets 2 lakhs as pension. Does he spend all that money? His expenditure will be less compared to his income. Father, group 1 officer, salary 70,000-80,000. But he has to spend more because he's the head of the family. And you people, you don't earn, you only spend. This is called vertical imbalance. So the capacity of the grandfather who is a retired IAS officer to generate revenue very high, but he spends little. Father, he has the revenue raising capacity, but it is not able to meet his expenditure needs. And grandson, granddaughter, they don't earn anything, but they spend. So these are called vertical imbalances. Central government, state governments, local governments. So the central government revenue raising capacity very high, responsibility is limited. State governments revenue raising capacity limited, responsibility is huge. Same is the story about local governments also. I will show you the table. Desktop. Okay. See here. This is the table explaining vertical imbalances. Assume that the revenues of the union government, all the 28 states, union territories, local bodies, all of that is 100 rupees. The revenue generated by central government, all the states, union territories, and all the local governments, assume that it is 100 rupees. What is the share of the central government? In that, 66 rupees roughly. State governments, 31 rupees. Local governments, 2.5. So this is the share in the revenue. The same 100 rupees is spent as expenditure. In that, how much the central government is spending? 47. But what is its share in the revenue? 66. Does it have surplus? It has surplus. See the state governments. They are able to generate only 31 rupees, but every year they spend around 45 rupees. Similarly, the local government, they generate 2.5 rupees, but they spend 7.11 rupees, 7.11 rupees. These are called vertical imbalances. So the Finance Commission of India, what it does is, it will tell the union government, the revenues which you get through taxes, in that give a share to the states. That's how the money from the center reaches to the states. That's how the vertical imbalances are addressed. I just gave an example. The 11th Finance Commission has recommended a 29.5% share in the central tax revenues. The 14th they said 42%, 15th they said 41%, 16th they said 41%. So the share of the states in the central government tax revenues, it has increased over a period of time. How this is made possible? This is made possible because of Finance Commission of India. It is on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India, the union government will share its tax revenues with the states. So that's how the Finance Commission will address vertical imbalances. Vertical imbalances. States get more and more money from the center. And I will give an example. Out of every 100 rupees, which a state government spends every year, 50 rupees it comes from the central government. There are variations across the states. I'm telling it as average among all the 28 states. For example, take Telangana. Telangana and Haryana, in these two states, if they spend 100 rupees, 80 rupees is the revenue coming from the state. Only 20 rupees coming from the center. So Telangana, Haryana, very less dependent on the center. Take Manipur. It is dependent on the center for 87% of the revenue. There are differences across the states, but the average for the entire country among the 28 states is, out of every 100 rupees which a particular state government spends, the share of the revenue coming from that state is 50 rupees, the rest 50 comes from the center. So how this money is coming from the center? It is on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. So Finance Commission of India addresses vertical imbalances. It also addresses horizontal imbalances. And what do you mean by horizontal imbalances? All the states, are they at the same level of socio-economic development? Your state, Tamil Nadu, well-developed state. South India, Western India, states are developed. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, Maharashtra, developed states. Take North India, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, states in Eastern India, Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Northeast India, they are relatively poorer states. So in terms of socio-economic development, there are gaps. These are called horizontal imbalances. Okay? So when all the 28 states get some money from the center as a share in the central government tax revenues, this money is again distributed among the 28 states. For that, there is a criteria. If a state is poor, it gets more money. If the population is more, it gets more money. If the area is more, it gets more money. Who will decide this criteria? Finance Commission. So Finance Commission of India will also try to address horizontal imbalances by recommending the criteria for sharing the taxes among the 28 states. That's why it is called balancing wheel. Am I clear? Right on. Finance Commission of India. Finance Commission of India. Finance Commission of India is called the balancing wheel. Finance Commission of India is called the balancing wheel. Underline the word balancing wheel. Very important. Try to make use of that word in the mains exam. Finance Commission of India is called the balancing wheel in center-state financial relations. Finance Commission of India is called the balancing wheel in center-state financial relations. Because it addresses both vertical and horizontal imbalances. Because it addresses, why is it called balancing wheel? Because it addresses both vertical and horizontal imbalances. Full stop. What is the article which deals with the Finance Commission of India? Article 28. Answer this question. Consider the following statements. The first statement. Finance Commission of India will contain a chairman and 4 other members appointed by the President of India. Second statement. What about the first statement? Is that right? Right. Chairman and 4 other members. The qualifications for the chairman and the members of the Finance Commission of India, they are laid down in the Constitution of India. Is that a right statement? Wrong statement. Qualifications, they are laid down in a law made by Parliament. Finance Commission Act 1951. Qualifications are not laid down in Article 280. So questions sometimes they come tricky like that. So that's why you should read the text of the Constitution. You should read the text of the Constitution. Don't read Lakshmikant. Read Lakshmikant along with that, buy a book, articles book. What is there in the text of the Constitution, Lakshmikant doesn't explain. So tomorrow you are confused in the prelims exam. Write down 2 more lines. The revenue raising capacity of the Union Government, the revenue raising capacity of the Union Government, the revenue raising capacity of the Union Government is far superior. The revenue raising capacity of the Union Government, the revenue raising capacity of the Union Government is far superior compared to developmental responsibilities. the revenue raising capacity of the union government is far superior compared to developmental responsibilities. Full stop. The next line. The revenue raising capacity of the state governments. The revenue raising capacity of the state governments. The revenue raising capacity of the state governments is limited. The revenue raising capacity of the state governments is limited compared to the revenue raising capacity of the state governments is limited compared to developmental responsibilities. Compared to developmental responsibilities. Okay. Then tell me, what are the major taxes in the union list? Under the Constitution of India, in the 7th schedule, taxation powers are also divided between the center and the states. Answer me this question. Is there any tax which is mentioned in the concurrent list? Do you have any tax which is mentioned in the concurrent list? Yes or no? No, GST is not there in the concurrent list. That was brought in through an amendment. 101 amendment inserting 3 articles. 246A, 269A, 279A. So it was implemented through an amendment. You don't have any tax in the concurrent list. What does this mean? There is no tax other than GST which can be levied by the center and the states together. No. So there are taxes in the union list, there are taxes in the state list. On the taxes in the union list, the center can levy and collect. State list, the center can levy and collect. So what are the important taxes which are there in the union list, which are a major source of revenue? Write down. Taxes in the union list. Major taxes in the union list. First one, personal income tax. Personal income tax. PERSONAL, personal income tax. Next one, corporation tax. Personal income tax, corporation tax, central GST, integrated GST, customs duty, central excise, central excise, personal income tax, corporation tax. They are direct taxes. The remaining are indirect taxes. So personal income tax, corporation tax, central GST, integrated GST, customs duty, central excise, central excise. These are the major taxes in the union list. Right? And what are the major taxes in the state list? Major taxes in the state list. What is the tax which contributes the highest revenue to the state tax revenue in every state? What is the tax which generates highest revenue? State GST, around 40%. This is a national average. So there are 4-5 taxes which are mentioned in the state list. Among them, it is the state GST which contributes the highest revenue. Around 40% of the tax revenue of the states comes from state GST. So write down taxes which are mentioned in the state list. State GST, then sales tax on petroleum products, sales tax on petroleum products, and alcohol, sales tax on petroleum products and alcohol. What about other products? It became part of GST. Then why this did not become part of GST? So excise, what is excise? It is a tax on manufacturing. So it is the Constitution has given the power to the union government to levy tax on manufacturing. Manufacturing, it is a tax which is given to the union. But one exception is there. Excise on alcohol, this is given to states. Excise duty, excise tax, it means tax on manufacturing. Tax on manufacturing is the power of the union government. The union government can levy excise duties on all products, but with one exception, that is alcohol. And the power of the state governments is to levy sales tax. Sales tax is the power which is given to states. So the states, they feel that excise duty on alcohol is a major source of revenue for every state. If it is made part of GST, after GST comes into operation, if the revenues of the states come down, they will be in a difficult situation. So what they said, for the time being, let excise on alcohol be outside GST. Let GST get rolled out and implemented, we will see. So when we feel comfortable, we will make it part of GST. So as of now, it is not part of GST. Okay. State excise, write down the first, what did I say? State GST, sales tax on petroleum products and alcohol. The next one, state excise. State excise on alcohol meant for human consumption. State excise on alcohol meant for human consumption. The next one, state excise on alcohol which is meant for human consumption. Manam tagada, for us to drink. For the human beings to drink. Who else will drink? Don't know. That's how, that is the wording in the Constitution. The next one, stamps and registration. Stamps and registration. Stamps and registration. Stamps and registration. The last one, motor vehicle tax. Motor vehicle tax. Motor vehicle tax. Okay. Then excise duty, I said, central excise. Now, as of now, we have central excise only on petroleum products and tobacco products. What about other products? Became part of GST. So central government also said, we get lot of revenue through central excise on petroleum products. We cannot make it part of GST now. Let's wait for some more time. Central excise on petroleum products and tobacco products, it is not part of GST. That you should remember, very important. Central excise on all products other than petroleum and tobacco, they became part of GST. Central excise on petroleum products and tobacco products, it's outside GST. It is outside GST. Okay, then you should know alternate, write down this one, alternate scheme of devolution. Alternate scheme of devolution. Very important. What do you mean by this? Alternate scheme of devolution. It's the most important development in the center-state financial relations. Listen carefully, then I will dictate. From 1950 to 2000, from 1950 to 2000, the taxes which are mentioned in the union list, the revenue through these taxes is not shared with states. All taxes are not shared. I said personal income tax, states will get a share from the personal income tax. Article 270 said earlier. Now Article 270 was amended in 2000. In the very beginning, when the Constitution came into force, Article 270 said personal income tax of the union government will be shared with states. Article 272 said central excise duty will be shared with states. So in the union list, I said there is also corporation tax. Corporation tax not shared with states before 2000. There is also basic customs duty that is also not shared with states. So from 1950 till 2000, for almost 50 years, from the union list, some taxes are shared with states. Some taxes are not shared with states. The revenue is entirely for the union government. But a 10th Finance Commission headed by K.C. Pant, it has recommended that the state should get a share in all the union taxes, not just personal income tax and central excise. In all the tax revenues of the union government, the states must get a share. You pool the revenue. revenue which the union government gets through all the taxes, make it into a pool. In that, give a share to the states. This is called alternate scheme of devolution. So it came into operation in 2000 on the recommendations of 10th Finance Commission. To implement this recommendation, the Constitution was amended, 80th Amendment. So this article was deleted. This article was changed. Article 270 earlier said personal income tax will be shared with states. But this 80th Amendment, what it said is, all the taxes of the union government, the net proceeds, they will be shared with states. If all taxes are shared, that means excise duty is also shared. Central excise duty is also shared. So you don't need Article 272. Article 270, when it was changed in 2000, Article 270 was changed. The wording was changed. Article 270 now says all the 28 states will get a share in the net proceeds of all the central taxes. Then you don't need to have Article 272. Excise duty is also part of shareable tax revenue. So this Article 272 was deleted. Article 270 was modified through 80th Amendment. Article 270, before 80th Amendment, what did it say? It spoke about only income tax. Under Article 270 said personal income tax of the union will be shared with states. This we have deleted. This wording is deleted. Article 270 was changed. How it was changed? With the exception of cesses and surcharges, the net proceeds will be shared with all the 28 states. That is the change brought in 270 article. I will explain what it says, what is surcharge, what is gross tax revenue, what is net proceeds. For the time being, write down. Write a paragraph, give the heading alternate scheme of devolution. From 1950 to 2000, from 1950 to 2000, from 1950 to 2000, states had a share. States had a share only in the personal income tax. States had a share from 1950 to 2000. States had a share in the personal income tax and central excise duty. Under central excise duty of the union government. Under central excise duty of the union government. Full stop. In other taxes of the union government, in other taxes like corporation tax, like customs duty, in other taxes of the union government, in other taxes of the union government, states did not have a share. In other taxes of the union government, states did not have a share. Full stop. Below that, write down Article 270. Article 270. This is before 2000. Article 270 write down, and there you write down sharing of personal income tax. Sharing of personal income tax. So when the Constitution came into implementation in the year 1950, Article 270 spoke about sharing of personal income tax. The next one, Article 272, sharing of central excise duty. Article 270 spoke about sharing of personal income tax. Article 270 spoke about sharing of central excise duty. Sharing of central excise duty. Next paragraph. The 10th Finance Commission has recommended 10th Finance Commission has recommended an alternate scheme of devolution. 10th Finance Commission has recommended an alternate scheme of devolution. 10th Finance Commission has recommended an alternate scheme of devolution in which the states will get a share. In which the states will get a share. 10th Finance Commission has recommended an alternate scheme of devolution in which the states will get a share in the net proceeds. In the net proceeds. In the net proceeds in the net proceeds of all union taxes, in the net proceeds of all union taxes except cess and surcharge. Except cess and surcharge. Okay. This recommendation was implemented. Next line. See, if you have a doubt, please feel free to ask me. Don't hesitate. It's your right and our responsibility. This was implemented through this recommendation. This was implemented through 80th amendment of the 80th amendment to the Indian Constitution. This was implemented through 80th amendment, not 88, my dear, 80, through 80th amendment of the Indian Constitution. Through 80th amendment of the Indian Constitution. Clear? I said net proceeds. So you should know what is net proceeds. Before that, write down GTR, gross tax revenue. GTR. According to the present budget 26-27, it is estimated that the union government will get 44 lakh crores in the form of gross tax revenue. Write down. Gross tax revenue. Gross tax revenue is equal to revenue through direct taxes. Gross tax revenue is equal to revenue through direct taxes of the union. I am speaking about GTR of the union government, gross tax revenue of the union government. Revenue through direct taxes plus revenue through indirect taxes plus revenue through cess plus revenue through surcharge. Okay? Revenue through direct taxes, revenue through indirect taxes, revenue through cess, revenue through surcharge. To put it very simple, GTR, it refers to the total revenue of the union government from all the taxes of the union. Gross tax revenue, it refers to the total revenue of the union government from all taxes, direct, indirect, cess and surcharge. Is a cess a tax? Cess is a tax. Tax on tax. Tax only, no? Tax on tax. Surcharge. Tax on tax. So write down cess. Cess. So which article deals with the cess? Article 270 indirectly deals. There is a mention of cess in Article 270. So write down cess within the brackets Article 270. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. I will give an example. Assume that you are earning 100 rupees in 1 year. Assume that the rate of income tax is 30%. On 100 rupees, which is your annual income, you will pay 30 rupees as a personal income tax. On these 30 rupees, which is personal income tax, if the government levies 10% cess, you will pay 3 rupees as cess. That's how it is calculated. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. What do you mean by specific purpose? Say for example, how much the government is spending on health, all the governments, as percentage of GDP, as per the report of the 16th Finance Commission. Who said 0.6? Good. Very near to that. The union government is spending 0.1% of GDP on health. All the states together, 0.9%. 0.1 plus 0.9, how much it is? 1% of GDP. Is this big money? To achieve the goal of health for all, we need to spend 3 to 4%. That's the ideal requirement. How much we are spending? 1%, not adequate. Now we all speak about demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? In India, we have a large number of people in the working age. All of you who are in the working age, when you are an asset to this country, when you are healthy, when you have access to quality education, when you have the right kind of skill. If the government spends little on your health, on your education, on skill development, you can never be an asset to this country. You will be a big burden to this country. Tomorrow you will join the ranks of bros, Naxalites. Yes, if you don't get a decent job after getting educated because you lack skills, why would the youth keep quiet in this country? That's why Shashi Tharoor, an MP from Thiruvananthapuram, he said, education is biggest threat to national security. If the right kind of education is not delivered, right kind of skilling is not delivered, people will not get gainful employment. You feel frustrated. What you will do? You will not keep quiet. You will create trouble to the governments. That's what he meant by threat to national security. So today, this is a 2023-24. The central government and all the states together, they are spending 1% of GDP on health. This money is not adequate to achieve the goal of health for all. You want to raise money for increasing the spending on health. How do you do that? Health cess. And this money will be spent only for health. Similarly, education, take education. We had a policy recently on education, National Education Policy 2020. What does this policy speak about? Spending on education, central and states together, how much they spend, how much they should spend? 6 to 8% of GDP. 6 to 8%. Not this policy alone. We had a policy in 1968, National Policy on Education 1968. We had one more policy in 86, National Policy on Education 1986. For the last 40 to 50 years, we were telling that we need to spend 6 to 8% of GDP on education. But how much we are spending? 2.5 to 2.8. This is the spending. Even the money which we are spending right now on education, not adequate to achieve the goals of education for all. Now you want to raise money, additional money to increase the spending on education. Go for education cess. Example, cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose. Write down this data. This data is very, very important. The central and the state governments together spend. The central and the state governments together. What is it called? Central government, state governments together. There is a word for that. If you read the economic survey, in the economic survey, it is like this. The spending by the general government on health as percentage of GDP, 1%. The spending on education by the general government, 2.5% of GDP. Write down. First, write down general government. General government. What do you mean by general government? In the report of the 16th Finance Commission, they have explained general government means union government plus 28 state governments plus 3 union territories with legislature. 3 union territories with legislature. 3 union territories with legislature. All put together, we use the expression general government. So general government is equal to union government plus 28 state governments plus 3 union territories with legislature. Now write down. The spending on health as percentage of GDP. What is GDP? Simply national income. The final value of all the goods and services produced in 1 year within the territory of India. So the size of Indian GDP, around 300 lakh crores. Our beloved Prime Minister had given a slogan of Vikasit Bharat. India should become a developed nation by 2047. What is the size of the Indian economy today? 4 to 5 trillion US dollars. 4 to 5 trillion US. The largest economy in the world, United States of America, 30 trillion. 30 trillion US dollars. The second largest economy, China, 20 trillion US dollars. If India has to become a developed nation by 2047, our size of GDP should reach 30 trillion US dollars. Now we are 4 to 5 trillion US dollars. By 2047, our GDP must increase to 30 trillion US dollars. Right on. The spending by the general government on health or The spending by the general government on health, the spending by the general government on health as a percentage of GDP. The spending by the general government on health as a percentage of GDP, 1%. This is in which year? 2023-24. The spending by the general government on health as a percentage of GDP, 1%. This is in 23-24. Write down center 0.1%, center 0.1%, states, all the states 0.9, 0.9. So 0.1 plus 0.9, 1. One more fact. The spending by the general government on education, the spending by the general government on education, the spend. So there in the earlier line, you write down ideal requirement 3 to 4%. Ideal requirement 3 to 4%. The spending on health as a percentage of GDP, now it is 1%. But ideally, how much we should spend? 3 to 4% of GDP. Now write down. The spending by the general government on education as a percentage of GDP is 2.5 to 2.8%. 2.5 to 2.8%. 2.5 to 2.8%. Within that, share of center 0.3. Okay, but what is the ideal requirement? 6 to 8%. So within the brackets, write down ideal requirement. Actually, we should spend 6 to 8%. But we are spending only 2.5 to 2.8. Okay. So this is to explain cess. So now there is a cess called health and education cess. So money is being raised through this cess for funding health and education. Go to the next one, surcharge. Article 271. Article 271. Article 271, surcharge. It is a tax on tax. It is again tax on tax, but not for a specific purpose. It can be used for any purpose. The next one, Article 271, surcharge. It is a tax on tax, not for a specific purpose. Surcharge is a tax on tax, but not for a specific purpose, which means it can be used for any purpose. When it is levied and collected, it can be used for any purpose. Cess, when you try to levy and collect, it should be used only for the purpose for which it was levied. Surcharge, tax on tax, but not for a specific purpose. Now write down GTR. That already done. Gross tax revenue already done. The next one, divisible pool of taxes. This is also called net proceeds. Net proceeds. Net proceeds of taxes, the other name. Divisible pool of taxes or net proceeds of taxes. Both mean one and the same. How do you get this? So here write down equal to GTR. What is GTR? Gross tax revenue. What is the gross tax revenue this year? Or the next year is expected. What is expected for the next 1 year? I said 44 lakh crores. If you want, you can write somewhere. The expected gross tax revenue for the financial year 2026-27, 44 lakh crores. So from the GTR, you should take away cess. Take away surcharge. Take away tax revenues of the union territories. Tax revenues of union territories. Take away cost of collecting these taxes. Cost of collecting these taxes. From the gross tax revenue, you should take away the revenue through cess, revenue through surcharge, and the taxes which are collected in the 8 union territories, and also you incur expenditure for collecting these taxes. That is called cost of collecting taxes. All these four, they must be deducted from the GTR. After that, what you will get? Divisible pool of taxes. In that 41% share to the states, not in the GTR, my dear. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 41% share to all the 28 states in the divisible pool of taxes. If the divisible pool of taxes is 100 rupees, all the 28 states will get 41 rupees. That is in the divisible pool. My question is, why should you take away cess? The Constitution of India very clearly says, cess is not for states. Cess is meant for the union. So states cannot ask a share. Cess is a tax on tax for a specific purpose, and the revenue which the union government gets through cess, it is meant for the union government alone. Constitution says that. Article 270 says that. Cesses cannot be shared with states. Similarly, Article 271 says, surcharge which is a tax on tax, it is meant for the union government and it can't be shared with states. So that's why from the gross tax revenue, you take away the revenue coming through cess, revenue coming through surcharge. And again, there are 8 union territories. The taxes which are collected in these union territories, that also should be deducted. In addition to that, cost of collecting all these taxes must also be deducted. If all these four are deducted from the GTR, you will get the divisible pool of taxes. That is also called net proceeds of taxes. In the divisible pool of taxes, the states will get a share. 14th said 42%, 15th said 41, 16th said 41. So I have shared the PPT with you. Eleventh Finance Commission recommended a share of 29.5. 11th Finance Commission has recommended a share of 29.5% to all the 28 states in the central divisible pool of taxes. 12th Finance Commission said 30.5, 13th Finance Commission said 32. Only incremental increase, 29.5 to 30.5, 1% increase. 30.5 to 32, 1.5% increase. But see the 14th Finance Commission, sudden jump, 32 to 42%. Then 15th said 41, 16th said 41. Why 42 became 41? Jammu and Kashmir. In 2019, Jammu and Kashmir, which was earlier a state, was reorganized into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. That 1% is set aside for union territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. That's why it became 41. So this 41 is for whom? All the 28 states. I will try to make it simple. Assume that 120 rupees is the gross tax revenue. The total tax revenue of the union government 120 rupees. In that, say cess 7 rupees, surcharge 7 rupees, union tax revenues of the union government 1 rupee, cost of collecting 1 more rupee. How much it is? 120 minus 16. You will get 104. This is divisible pool. In that 41% to 28 states. Am I clear? So that's the meaning of gross tax revenue. Net proceeds of taxes are the divisible pool of taxes. Then I will end up with one more basic. CRF, NCCF, NDRF, NDMF, SDRF, SDMF. You must know about these funds. Then only you can understand the recommendations of any finance commission coming from 11th Finance Commission. So, from which year we had a legislation on disaster management in this country? 2005. So, Indian Parliament made a law on disaster management in 2005, which is called Disaster Management Act 2005. What about before 2005? There was no law. There is no law at the union level, there is no law at the state level. Why we made a law only in 2005? We had certain experiences. 2004, we had an Indian Ocean tsunami. 2001, Bhuj earthquake in Gujarat, devastating earthquake. Orissa had a super cyclone. These are the three major natural disasters of very high severity. So that made the union and the state governments to do something about this. That's why in 2005, we had a legislation, Disaster Management Act 2005. Under this law, at the union level, there are two funds. National Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Mitigation Fund. At the union level, two kinds of funds, response, mitigation. So response, the money from this fund is spent for rescuing, relief, rehabilitation, resettlement. Money from the mitigation fund, it is for mitigation. I'll give an example. So some people, they have closely studied the Orissa super cyclone. The observation is the villages in Orissa which are having mangrove forest cover at the coast, they are less affected by cyclone. Which means mangrove forest cover, it acted as a bioshield. When the tropical cyclones are coming from the sea onto the land, if there is a mangrove forest cover at the coastline, it will reduce the speed of the winds. It will reduce the destruction of tropical cyclone. So if you try to grow mangrove forest cover in the coastal areas, that will reduce the intensity and severity of the disasters. So the money which is spent on that, it comes under mitigation. So DM Act, it spoke about two kinds of funds, one for response, one for mitigation. At the national level, National Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Mitigation Fund. Similarly, at the state level, you have State Disaster Response Fund, State Disaster Mitigation Fund. The law also provided for similar funds at the district level. District Disaster Response Fund, District Disaster Mitigation Fund. But in most states, they are not created. In all states, they are not created because finance commissions have said not necessary at the district level. Okay. Then what about these two? Before 2005, we did not have these funds. We had only these two funds. The first one, Calamity Relief Fund. Don't write, I will explain, I will dictate. Calamity Relief Fund, it is the fund at the state level for disaster management. Similarly, at the national level, there is one more fund called NCCF, National Calamity Contingency Fund. If there is a fund in every state in the form of CRF, why do you want another fund at the union level? Why? Common sense. In all the states, 28 states, in every state at the state level, there is a fund called CRF, Calamity Relief Fund. You can spend money from that. Why do you want another fund at the national level? If it is not sufficient. In any state, if there is a natural disaster of very high severity, if the funds in the CRF are not adequate, the state can ask the center. That's why NCCF, National Calamity Contingency Fund. So 9th Finance Commission has recommended CRF, 11th Finance Commission has recommended NCCF, whatever. But after 2005, the law provided for other sets of funds. Can we continue this? We cannot. That's why Calamity Relief Fund at the state level, it was merged with SDRF. NCCF was merged with NDRF. This is on the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission. On the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission of India, Calamity Relief Fund at the state level was merged with the State Disaster Response Fund. National Calamity Contingency Fund at the union level was merged with the National Disaster Response Fund. So now we don't have these two. Then from 2005 to 20, we have not learned anything from these severe disasters. How can you say that? At the union level, though the law provides, only response fund was created. Mitigation fund was not created till 2020. At the union level, there is NDRF from 2005, National Disaster Response Fund. What does that mean? We are waiting for the disasters to hit this country. After the disaster hits, we will rescue, provide relief, provide rehabilitation. We are not focusing on mitigation. That is reflected in not creating that fund. National Disaster Mitigation Fund not created till 2020. Similarly, at the state level, We had SDRF, State Disaster Response Fund. State Disaster Mitigation Funds not created. So the earlier commission, 15th Finance Commission said, the center and the states must create mitigation fund. If you don't create mitigation fund, no grants for disaster management. So they were finally created on the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission from 21-22. This is the story. So write down. Unless you know about these funds, I will say that the Union government has, the Finance Commission of India has recommended 2,04,000 crores as a grant for disaster management at the state level for SDRF, SDMF. You should know what is SDRF, you should know what is SDMF, and where this money is going. Write down. Before Disaster Management Act 2005, 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 there was Calamity Relief Fund at the state level. Before before Disaster Management Act 2005, there was Calamity Relief Fund at the state level. There was a Calamity Relief Fund at the state level, recommended by 9th Finance Commission, FC9. You can write this way. Simple. Recommended by 9th Finance Commission. Then there was National Calamity Contingency Fund. There was National Calamity Contingency Fund. I'm writing on the board. Calamity Contingency Fund. There was a National Calamity Contingency Fund at the union level, recommended by 11th Finance Commission. There was a National Calamity Contingency Fund at the union level, recommended by 11th Finance Commission, FC11, full stop. Why NCCF? I told you, right on the next line. If the funds in the CRF are not adequate, if the funds in the CRF, that is, if the funds in the Calamity Relief Fund are not adequate, if the funds in the Calamity Relief Fund are not adequate, the states can ask for additional money. The states can ask for additional money. The states can ask for additional money. The states can ask for additional money from NCCF. The states can ask for additional money from NCCF. Okay. Next paragraph. After Disaster Management Act 2005 came into operation, after Disaster Management Act 2005 came into operation, after Disaster Management Act 2005 came into operation, the following funds were created. The following funds were created. No, don't write created. After the Disaster Management Act 2005 came into operation, the following funds were provided for. Chatamlo, it is there in the Act. The following funds are provided for. Okay? Write down the first one. At the union level. At the union level. Write down at the union level. What are the two kinds of funds? NDRF, NDMF. National Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Mitigation Fund. At the state level, SDRF, SDMF. State Disaster Response Fund, State Disaster Mitigation Fund. The next one, at the district level, DDRF, DDMF. District Disaster Response Fund, District Disaster Mitigation Fund. This is the provision under the law. Clear? Write on the next line. I said what happened to CRF and NCCF, that you write down. On the recommendations of 13th Finance Commission, on the recommendations of 13th Finance Commission, on the recommendations of 13th Finance Commission, on the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission, CRF is merged with SDRF. Very good. CRF is merged with SDRF, and on the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission of India, CRF, Calamity Relief Fund, is merged with the State Disaster Response Fund. Full stop. Not full stop, comma. NCCF, National Calamity Contingency Fund. NCCF is merged with NDRF. NCCF is merged with NDRF. Full stop. Which means now we don't have CRF. Now we don't have NCCF. Next paragraph. At the union level, National Disaster Mitigation Fund was not created. At the national level, National Disaster Mitigation Fund was not created till 2020. At the national level, National Disaster Mitigation Fund was not created till 2020. Similarly, full stop. Similarly, in most states, response funds were created. Similarly, in most states, response funds are created, but not mitigation funds. Full stop. On the recommendations of 15th Finance Commission, write down FC 15. On the recommendations of 15th Finance Commission of India, on the recommendations of 15th Finance Commission of India, mitigation funds were created. On the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission of India, mitigation funds were created both at the union level and at the state level. Both at the union level and at the state level. Okay. So now we have them. Right? Then SDRF, SDMF. What should be the contribution of the center and states? Assume that SDRF has 100 rupees. SDMF has 100 rupees. How much the center and the state should contribute? 75 is to 25. This is for general category states. If you are a special category state, it is 90 is to 10. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, please take break. We'll take break. I will complete 2 more lines. Write this one and then take break. Then we can get into recommendations straight away. This is the background for understanding the report. Okay? Write down 2 lines. 13th Finance Commission has recommended. 13th Finance Commission has recommended. You can write down this way. FC 13. 13th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF, then SDMF was not there. 13th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF should be funded by the center and the states. SDRF, that is State Disaster Response Fund at the state level. 13th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF shall be funded by the center and the states in the ratio of 75 is to 25. In the ratio of 75 is to 25 by the center and the states, in the general category states. Okay, 13th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF shall be funded by the center and states, I have said, in the ratio of 75 to 25 for general category states. 90 is to 10, comma 90 is to 10 for special category states. 90 is to 10 for the special category states. For example, 7 states in Northeast India, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, they all come under special category. That is 13th Finance Commission. But 14th Finance Commission said 90 is to 10 for all the states. But that was not implemented. That on the next line. FC 14. 14th Finance Commission has recommended. 14th Finance Commission has recommended. 14th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF shall be funded by the center and the states. 14th Finance Commission has recommended that SDRF shall be funded by the center and the states in the ratio of 90 is to 10. In the ratio of 90 is to 10 for all the states. No distinction. Within the brackets, I do not implemented. Not implemented. So we are continuing with that 75 is to 25. 15th said 75 is to 25 for general category, 90 is to 10 for special category. What 13th FC has said, that was repeated by 15th and 16th also. 16th Finance Commission said, 15th Finance Commission said, 13th Finance Commission said, SDRF 75 is to 25 for general category, 90 is to 10 for special category. Similarly, SDMF 75 is to 25 for general category, 90 is to 10 for special category. That I will discuss in the recommendations. I think we are done with most of the basics. So take a break for how many minutes? Your choice, I have no problem. Take break for 15 minutes. We will again start the class and complete the report. What I am going to teach then after the break, that's important. This is all for only background, for understanding the report. So don't miss the second part. If there are any doubts, please feel free to discuss with me. Typical imbalance, horizontal imbalance, vertical imbalance, horizontal imbalance.
Sir, both 13 and 14 Finance Commission both recommended as the kind of sum for SDRF. Only after 14 Finance Commission, the NDRF and SDRF are clear. Is it
You know, NDRF, SDRF, they are there from 2005. Response funds are there. Mitigation fund, both at the union and the state level, they were recommended after the 15th Finance Commission is recommended. So can we get started? See, the next important concept under Finance Commission of India is FRBM Act, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. So this law was initially made by the Indian Parliament in 2003 when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. It was recently amended in 2018 on the recommendations of a committee called N.K. Singh Committee. N.K. Singh, he is the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. N.K. Singh FRBM Review Committee. And why this law is very important? N.K. Singh, don't write, listen. N.K. Singh was the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission of India. He says, freebies are a passport to financial disaster. So in most states, even the states which are otherwise financially very strong and sound, they are also becoming worse because of freebies. Everything for free. No money for creating assets, generating growth, creating jobs. I said Telangana. So in the state of Telangana, 80% of the total revenue comes from the state itself. Only 20% coming from the center for Telangana. In general, average 50% coming from the center. States like Telangana, Haryana, they are relatively much less dependent on the central government revenues. But even in those states today, they are not in a position to pay the salaries in time. They are not able to pay the pensions for the employees who got retired. This is the sorry state of affairs in India, especially in several states. So 2-3 years back, Sri Lanka had financial crisis. So even the states today in India, a political party which is in power, it will do everything necessary to come back to power. It's in the form of freebies. Now the matter even went to the Supreme Court. For those who need them, you can give, but not for everyone, for vote bank politics. What about the future of India? If you don't invest money in infrastructure, roads, railways, ports, highways, if you don't invest in health, education and skill development, where can you create economic growth, new economic growth? If new economic growth is created, jobs are created, wealth is created, poverty will go, unemployment will go. Is this the direction which we are moving? No. Whatever money is available in the exchequer, pressing the button, transferring the money to the accounts of the beneficiaries. So you are spending very little on creation of assets. This is the story. So Atal Bihari Vajpayee, when he was the Prime Minister, with a lot of vision for the future of India, he has come up with this legislation called FRBM, Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. It was enacted in 2003. States have come up with this law in 2007, from 2007 onwards. So this was recently amended in 2018 on the recommendations of a committee called N.K. Singh FRBM Review Committee. To see the implementation of the FRBM Act 2003, a committee was appointed under the chairmanship of N.K. Singh. That is called as N.K. Singh FRBM Review Committee. So this committee has recommended that by 2024-25, debt to GDP ratio of the center should come down to 40%. By 24-25, the debt to GDP ratio for the central government should come down to 40% of GDP. What is it today? This is the recommendation, 56%. All the states together, the debt to GDP ratio should come down to 20%. But today it is 26.4%. For the center and the states together, general government debt, it should be 60% of GDP. What is it today? 80.5%. This is one thing. Then there is a concept called, under the earlier legislation, under the FRBM Act of 2003, there was the concept of revenue deficit. There was the concept of effective revenue deficit. What is revenue deficit? So you know that in the budget there is a revenue account, capital account. In the revenue account, you have revenue receipts, revenue expenditure. In the revenue receipts, you have tax revenue, non-tax revenue. You know tax revenue. What is non-tax revenue? Interest on the loans, profits and dividends from the public sector undertakings and the commercial banks. If it is central government, the central government might have given loans to the states. On that it will get interest. RBI will have a lot of surplus. That is part of non-tax revenue. Scheduled commercial banks, central public sector undertakings, if they make profits on that, they have to pay dividends, 30%. And again, royalty and minerals, if at all. Then sale of all of this comes under non-tax revenue. So if there is a gap between revenue expenditure and revenue receipts, if revenue expenditure is more than the revenue receipts, that is called revenue deficit. And what is effective revenue deficit? So there are some grants given by the central government to the states for creating assets. If you take it away from the revenue deficit minus grants given for creation of assets, then you will get effective revenue deficit. So initially under the FRBM Act 2003, there were targets for revenue deficit and effective revenue deficit. Now they are dropped. Under the FRBM Amendment Act 2018, there are no targets for revenue deficit and effective revenue deficit. FRBM Amendment Act 2018 speaks about only fiscal deficit, targets for fiscal deficit, and targets for debt to GDP ratio. So that's something about FRBM. Then write down this one. Give the heading resource transfer from center to states. Resource transfer from center to states. In how many ways money from the union government reaches the states? There are several ways how the money from the center goes to the states. The first one, Article 270. What is this? A share in the divisible pool. A share in the divisible pool of taxes. A share in the divisible pool of taxes. This is one way. All the 28 states, they get a share in the divisible pool of taxes, 41% share. If you see the recent budget, see here, gross tax revenue 44 lakhs roughly. Share to the states, devolution to states, 15 lakhs 26,255 crores. So this is the money which all the 28 states get from the central government for 26-27. 15 lakhs 26,255 crores. What is this money? A share in the central government tax revenues. A share in the divisible pool of central taxes. That's one way how the money comes from the center to the states. Article 270. Then what is the next one? Article 275. Over and above this money, states also get money in the form of grants in aid. Local body grants, disaster management grants, they are all given by the union government to the states under Article 275 on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. So here grants in aid. What do you mean by grant? What is the difference between grant and loan? Grant, you don't need to repay it back. For example, in the 26-27 budget, Finance Commission grants. This is expenditure. Finance Commission grants. 1,29,397 crores. This you can write down there. 1,29,397 crores. The first one is a share in the divisible pool of taxes. That's around 15 lakhs. The second one is grants in aid on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. That is 1,29,397. The next one is centrally sponsored schemes. I said the centrally sponsored schemes, the funding for centrally sponsored schemes comes from both center and states. The share of the central government for 26-27, how much it is? 5,48,798 crores. So here you write down Where is this? Here. Controls here. Okay. Right. The next one, Article 282, centrally sponsored schemes. Okay. Money from the central government goes to the states in three ways. The first one under Article 270. Article 270 speaks about the center giving states a share in the divisible pool on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. The second one, Article 275, grants in aid, again to the states on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. The third one, Article 282, it is called discretionary grants. Here, Finance Commission of India doesn't have any role. The union government on its own will give money to the states. Example, centrally sponsored schemes. Centrally sponsored schemes. The money which the union government gives to the centrally sponsored schemes implemented by states, that comes through Article 282. These are the three ways how the money comes from the center to the states. In addition to this, there was a scheme called the Shashi. Heard about this? Scheme of assistance to the states for capital expenditure, something like that. Every year the union government is giving 50-year interest-free loans to the states for capital expenditure. That's a loan, interest-free loan. So this is one more way how the money comes from the center to the states. Like this, three ways the money comes. The first one, I said around 15 lakhs. The second one around 1.3 lakhs. The third one around 5,80,000. So put together around 22 lakh crores. For the financial year 26-27, all the states, they get around 22 lakhs from the center. It is 40% of the union budget. The union budget is 54 lakh crores. This or 22 lakhs will amount to 40% of the union budget. Okay. Then we should try to know the difference between 275 and 282. So that I have provided here. Write down this table. Article 275, Article 282. What is the difference? Article 275, Article 282. The first difference. Under Article 275, write down statutory grants. Grants given under Article 275, they are called as statutory grants. Statutory, STATUTORY. Grants given under Article 275 to the states by the Union government on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India, they are called as statutory grants. Why they are called statutory grants? They are given on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India, which is a constitutional body. It is also a statutory body. Finance Commission Act 1951, I said. So as this money is given on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India, which is a constitutional and statutory body, it is called statutory grants. Okay, the first difference. But the money which is given to the states by the center under Article 282, this money is given on the discretion of the Union government. Finance Commission of India does not have any role. That's why it is called discretionary grants. Grants given under Article 282 called discretionary grants. They are given by the Union government on its own choice. And the Union government has got a lot of flexibility in giving grants under Article 282. It can give grant for any purpose. For example, when we had COVID pandemic, money was quickly given to the states for vaccine distribution under Article 282. There are also advantages. Grants under Article 275, statutory grants. Under Article 282, discretionary grants. Second difference. Grants under Article 275 given on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. Second difference. Grants under Article 275 given on the recommendations of Finance Commission of India. Grants under Article 275. Grants under Article 275 given on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. Under Article 282, on the discretion of the Union government. On the discretion of the Union, which means it can favor BJP ruled states. Of course, that's what Modi does, right? Then the third difference, while grants are given under Article 275, there is a transparent and objective criteria. No favor treatment to any state. So write down the third difference. Transparent and objective criteria under Article 275. Money is given without any fear or favor. There is a criteria, say for example, population, area, like that, there is a criteria. Transparent and objective criteria. Here, you don't have that criteria. Absence of transparent criteria. Under Article 282, when the center gives money to the states, there is no formula. There is no transparency and objectivity. Third difference. Under Article 275, transparent and objective criteria. This is absent under Article 282. Then, money which is given under Article 275, this is a charged expenditure. I will explain. Charged expenditure. Charged expenditure. Article 275. The money which the Union government gives to the states under Article 275 in the form of grants is charged expenditure. Under Article 282, voted expenditure, VOTED. VOTED, voted expenditure. Okay, then what do you mean by charged and voted? So it is automatically given every year and it cannot be reduced. For example, in India we have many constitutional authorities. Supreme Court of India, High Courts, Speaker, Deputy Speaker. For all of them, every year the money is given without any reduction. That is called a charged expenditure. It can be discussed in the Lok Sabha, but it cannot be subjected to voting. If you subject it to voting, the executive branch, which has majority in the Lok Sabha, can cut down the expenditure. That will affect the autonomy. That's why certain expenditures, they are called charged expenditures. Every year automatically given, cannot be reduced. So the money which is given under Article 275, it is charged expenditure. It can't be reduced. The executive branch cannot reduce this expenditure. It can only discuss it in the Lok Sabha. Then money which is given under Article 282, it is voted expenditure, which means in the Lok Sabha, there can be discussion. Along with the discussion, that can be subjected to the vote of Lok Sabha, which means money can be rejected, money can be reduced. These are the major differences. Examples write down. Under Article 275, what are the various kinds of grants? The first one, local body grant. Local body grant. Under Article 275, examples for grants. Local body grants. What are local body grants? You know that after the 73rd and the 74th amendments to the Indian Constitution, we have created constitutionally recognized local bodies. 73rd, three-tier Panchayat Raj in states where the population is more than 20 lakhs. 74th, three kinds of urban local bodies: corporation, municipality, Nagara Panchayat. And as I said, the capacity of the local governments to generate revenues very limited. If you take the panchayats, they are able to generate only 10% of their expenditure. They spend 100 rupees, only 10 rupees they are able to generate. 90 rupees coming from central and states. So very much dependent on the central and states for grants. That's why central government every 5 years it gives grants to the local bodies to support them. Local body grants. Similarly, DM grants, disaster management grants. Grants given for dealing with the disaster management, DM grants. Then revenue deficit grants. Revenue deficit grants. What are revenue deficit grants? I just told about revenue deficit. If the revenue expenditure is more than the revenue receipts, that results in revenue deficit. So whatever is the gap, the union government gives money to the states. But the 16th FC said, I will not give money in the form of revenue deficit grants. If the union government continues to give money in the form of revenue deficit grants, you people will make wasteful expenditure. You give subsidies, you will give freebies. You will never be under financial discipline. So I don't want to spoil you. So 16th Finance Commission said no to revenue deficit grants. That I will discuss later. The next one, sector specific grants. Local body grant, DM grant, revenue deficit grants, sector specific grants. So if you want to encourage states to take up reforms in certain sectors, say agriculture, health, education, again the central government can give grants to the states. They are called sector specific grants. The next one, state specific grants. To address backwardness in some of the states, grants can be given. They are called state specific grants. So these are the various forms of grants under Article 275. But it is not mandatory for the Finance Commission to give all of these. It is its choice. For example, 16th Finance Commission said no to sector specific, state specific revenue deficit grants. For all these three, 16th FC said I will not give money. No money for revenue deficit grants, no money for sector specific grants, no money for state specific grants. 15th Finance Commission said, 15th Finance Commission has given money for all these three. That's the difference. 15th Finance Commission has given grants to meet revenue deficit, grants to sectors, grants to states. But 16th FC said no for all these three. 16th Finance Commission rejected giving grants, revenue deficit grants, sector specific grants, state specific grants. It gave only local body grants, DM grants. And the example for Article 282, centrally sponsored schemes. Funding given by the union government to centrally sponsored schemes is an example for discretionary grants. I just told you around 5,80,000 rupees is the money which the union government is going to give to all the 28 states for implementing centrally sponsored schemes. That's an example for discretionary grants. Under Article 282, write down centrally sponsored schemes. Money given to the centrally sponsored schemes. Money given to the centrally sponsored schemes. Okay? So I think, let us see. Vertical imbalances I have explained, horizontal imbalances, vertical devolution. Horizontal, these two things I have to discuss. General government tax revenues I told. Alternate scheme, balancing wheel. What is this pooling of sovereignty? Any idea? What is sovereignty? Supreme political power. Who has the supreme political power? You and me. You and me. We are the people of this country. We have the supreme political power. What do we do with that power? Through our right to vote, we transfer this power to the parliament and to the state legislature. So sovereignty, I said executive powers and legislative powers are divided. It means sovereignty is divided. Supreme political power is divided between the center and the states. Take GST. You know GST Council? What is the article under which this is created? 279A. This is a constitutional authority. This is again an example for cooperative federalism. In the GST Council, what is the strength of GST Council? 33. Union Finance Minister, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, 2 plus 28. From all the 28 states, 1 from each state. Then 3 union territories with legislature. So 2 plus 28 plus 3. So in the GST Council, center is represented, states are also represented. Center and the states together, they decide on GST. This is called pooling of sovereignty, sharing of sovereignty. So this you wrote down. GST Council is a very good example for pooled sovereignty or shared sovereignty. Pooled sovereignty or shared sovereignty. GST Council is an example, is a very good example for pooled sovereignty or shared sovereignty. But otherwise, what is the situation? With respect to all the taxes in the union list, Parliament is sovereign. With respect to all the taxes in the state list, state legislature is sovereign. So sovereignty is divided. With respect to taxes in the union list, sovereignty is with the center. With respect to taxes in the state list, sovereignty is with the states. But exception is GST. When it comes to GST, center and the states together will decide. That means they are pooling the sovereignty, sharing the sovereignty. Okay. Then the next important thing, criteria for horizontal devolution. After explaining this, I will get into the recommendations. Criteria for horizontal devolution. So I will take you through the table, PPT. I think it's there down. Write down equity versus efficiency. Equity versus efficiency. Equity versus efficiency. Write down equity versus efficiency. So what did I tell you? All the 28 states, they get 41% share in the divisible pool of taxes. All the 28 states get it. Then how do you distribute this money among these 28 states? For that, there is a criteria. That is called the criteria for horizontal devolution. See here in this table, income distance is one criteria, area is one criteria, population is one criteria, demographic performance is one criteria, forest cover is one criteria, tax and fiscal effort is one criteria, contribution to GDP is one criteria. All these can be broadly categorized into two: equity, efficiency. Equity means equality. Efficiency means performance. For example, if the population is more money is given. If the poverty is more money is given. If the area is more money is given. That is called equity criteria. But states like Tamil Nadu in southern India, states like Andhra Pradesh, states which are in southern India, western India, they want more importance to be given to performance criteria. For example, there is one criteria called demographic performance. So southern states and western states in the last 40 to 50 years, they took measures to reduce the population growth rates. So population got stabilized in these states. Simultaneously, these states, they have spent a lot of money on health, education, skill development, infrastructure. Today, much of the revenue of the union government, it comes from these states, southern states and western states. So the money which the southern and western states are contributing to the union government in the form of several taxes, personal income tax, corporation, where is this money going? This money is going to northern states, eastern states. For example, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar alone, just two states, they get 25% out of the total devolutions. So what are we doing? Instead of penalizing non-performance, we are rewarding them. See here, 14th Finance Commission has given money to the states on the basis of 1971 population. And now there is a big debate going on delimitation. And our Stalin is the biggest one who is fighting for the rights of the southern states, fighting with Modi, face off with Modi. You know that when Indira Gandhi was the prime minister, to encourage the states to take up controlling the population, she has done freeze on delimiting the constituencies on the basis of population. She did it for 25 years. Later on, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the prime minister, he also has put a freeze. New seats in Lok Sabha will not be allocated to the states on the basis of the present population. It will be not touched. The representation to the states in Lok Sabha, whatever was there before 1971, will continue to be the same. They will not be delimited as per the new population. Why this was done? To encourage the states to take up population control measures. But northern states and eastern states, they have not done controlling the population. Now there was population explosion in these states. Suddenly 15th Finance Commission has given weightage to 2011 census population. 15%. 15th Finance Commission. 71 given up. 16th FC has given further increased the weightage, 17.5. Now, when money goes to the states, one of the criteria is 2011 census population. Who will benefit? In the last 50 years, all those states which have increased the population instead of reducing the population, they will benefit. So more money goes to them. Then the southern states will obviously feel heartburn, because for the last 40 to 50 years, they took measures to control the population growth rate. They invested in social capital, that is health, education. They invested in physical infrastructure, attracted investments, increased the GDP, increased the revenues to the union government. Now the tax revenues of the union government, they get collected mostly in the southern and western states, where there is very good economic activity. And this money is going to the states which have not performed well. So the one criteria is income distance. Income distance simply means poverty. If you are more poor, you will get more money. Weightage 50%, 14th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission 45%, 16th 42.5. Almost 50% of the money is given on the basis of poverty. And you know UP is the most, UP, Bihar are the poorest states. Who asked them to remain poor? They would also have developed like Tamil Nadu. So now development in the southern and western states is helping the states in North India and Eastern India. So the complaint of the southern states is much of the revenues of the union government, they come because of the southern states. What we are contributing is more, what we are getting in return is little. And even this money which is going to the northern states, this money is not properly spent. In Bihar, the out of proportion school children is increasing instead of coming down. Where is the money going? The other complaint of the southern states is, I think Tyagarajan Palanivel, some person is there. He speaks so well. This man makes an argument. Okay, those states in North India, Eastern India, backward. Let the money from southern states go there. But this money is not being properly utilized. This money is going waste. Then why should the southern states pay for them? Is the complaint. So here the big conflict between the southern and northern states is 70% weightage is given to equity, equality. See here, income distance 50%, area means if the area is more, money is more. That is again equity. Population. So take here the recent 16th Finance Commission, 42.5 plus 17.5 plus 10, 70%. 70% weightage given to equity criteria. And equity criteria benefits the northern and eastern states. And southern states want to increase weightage to those criteria which reward performance. So for example, demographic performance is one criteria. Those states which have done well in controlling the population growth rate, they will be given money on the basis of this criteria. What is the weightage? Very little, 10%. Then Tax effort. Tax effort means the ability of the state to generate tax revenues. So that was given 2.5% weightage by the 15th. The 16th, this was taken away. Contribution to GDP, this is again performance criteria. The ability of the states to contribute to the national GDP, where it is high. It is high in the southern states and the western states. So contribution to GDP, again performance criteria. But what is the weightage? Just 10%. So southern states said, why 50% for income distance? Take out this criteria. Or if you want to continue, reduce the weightage. So that's the issue. So then criteria for horizontal devolution. Now we get into the recommendations. Give the heading. Recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission. Recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission. Recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission of India. Recommendations of 16th Finance Commission of India. The first recommendation, it recommended a share of 41%. It recommended, this is vertical devolution. Vertical devolution means giving a share to the states in the central government tax revenues. That is 41%. The first one, it recommended a share of 41% to all the states. It recommended a share of 41%. It recommended a share of 41% to all the states in the divisible pool of taxes. In the divisible pool of taxes. So this is not any change from the previous Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission also said 41. 16th also said 41. So no change here, not important. Next. Criteria for horizontal devolution. Give the heading criteria for horizontal devolution. Criteria for horizontal devolution. When the money which comes from the center to the states, when it is distributed among the states, there is a criteria. That is called criteria for horizontal devolution. I just told population, area, poverty. So that's the. So give the heading criteria for horizontal devolution. So what are the changes which the 16th Finance Commission has made? The first change. It has come up with a new criteria. Very important for your prelims and mains both. What are the changes made by the 16th Finance Commission with respect to criteria for horizontal devolution? A question in the mains exam. Or he will give the criteria and the relative weights on the other side. Or he may ask which of the following criteria present absent by the 16th Finance Commission. The first one. What did I say? Did I say anything? It has come up with a new criteria called contribution to GDP. It has come up with a new criteria called contribution to GDP for horizontal devolution. It has come up with a new criteria called contribution to GDP for horizontal devolution. So for horizontal devolution, it has come up with an entirely new criteria, what is called contribution to GDP. But what is the weightage? 10%, write down within the brackets 10% weightage. Second one, tax effort. It was dropped. Earlier, 15th Finance Commission has given a weightage of 2.5% for a tax and fiscal effort. Now this criteria is not there under the 16th Finance Commission. So write down the second point. Tax and fiscal effort criteria was dropped. Tax and fiscal effort criteria was dropped by 16th FC. Okay. These are the only changes? There are also other changes. Take income distance. What is income distance? Per capita income of all the 28 states is calculated. So total income in the state by population will give you per capita income. Per capita income is an indicator of poverty. So if a state is more poor, it will get more money. So for example, Haryana has got the highest per capita income. So from Haryana, whichever state is very far away, which is more poor, will get more money. And what is the weightage for that? 14 has given 50% weightage, 15 has given 45% weightage, 16th has given 42.5. So that you write down. Weightage to income distance. Weightage to income distance. Weightage to income distance was reduced from 45 to 42.5. Weightage to income distance was reduced from 45 to 42.5. This is good or bad? This is good for the southern states, but not 42.5. They should have made 12.5 or 2.5. But they have not done that. Marginal decrease, weightage 2.5. 45 became 42.5. 45 by 15th FC. We are comparing with 15th FC. You may get a doubt. 45 by which finance commission? The immediately previous finance commission. Second one, area. Weightage to area was also reduced from 15 to 10. This is also good. You are reducing the weightage to equity. The weightage to area was reduced from 15 to 10%. Weightage to area was reduced from 15 to 10%. Weightage to area was reduced from 15 to 10%. 2011 census population weightage increased from 15 to 17.5. Heartburn for southern states and western states, right? So write down this one. Weightage to 2011 census population, weightage to 2011 census population was increased from 15 to 17.5%. From 15 to 17.5%. So tomorrow in the prelims, there can be any one of the following statements. Consider the following statements. So all these statements, one or two or three of them, we can be in the question. So you should remember these facts. The next one, demographic performance, it will reward performance. Instead of increasing, they have reduced the weightage. It has come from 12.5 to 10. For this, they have given a reason. What is the reason? Why should we punish the northern states and eastern states for population growth? Now they are adding more and more young people to population, demographic dividend. You see Biharis everywhere coming and working. Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana. Assume that if they are not there, these economies will get affected. So the young working age population in the northern and eastern states will power economic growth in the developed states. So let us not punish them. So that's the reason given. That's the reason given. Now we speak about demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? The economic growth potential resulting from a change in the structure of the population. What is the change we have witnessed? The proportion of people who are in the working age has increased and the proportion of dependent have come down. So in any country where there is this shift, where the proportion of working age population will increase, it will result in higher economic growth rates. It will result in wealth creation. But this is not automatic, my dear. We need to spend on quality health, quality education and skill development. Otherwise, demography can never become a dividend. So now the states in northern India and eastern India, because of high fertility rates, they are responsible for more and more number of people joining the working age population. If northern and eastern states were not to be there, the advantage of demographic dividend will be available only for 20 years. Because they are there, it will be for 40 years. So that is an advantage to the economy. So let's not penalize them. So write down this one. The weightage to demographic performance. The weightage to demographic performance was reduced from 12.5 to 10. The weightage to demographic performance. The weightage to demographic performance was reduced from 12.5 to 10. The weightage to forest cover has not changed. Forest cover 15th 10, 16th also 10. The weightage to forest cover has not changed. It has remained the same 10% weightage. I think I'm done with all of this. So here where you can get a question in the mains exam is the debate on equity versus efficiency. That you should be in a position to explain. If money is given on the basis of equity criteria, southern states and western states lose. If you give money on the basis of poverty, population and area, then southern states and western states will lose. If more money is given on the basis of performance indicators like demographic performance, tax effort, contribution to GDP, southern states will gain. Southern states want more weightage to performance criteria, less weightage for equity criteria. But that is not being accepted because in a family of 4 children, if two are not, if they are differently able, assume, they need some extra support. So we can't neglect them, we cannot throw them out. And the same way, for good or bad reasons, states in North India, Eastern India, they have remained underdeveloped. If you continue that underdevelopment, people in the developed parts of India can't live in peace. Crime will increase. Yes, that happens. So in the overall well-being of entire country, it's our responsibility to shoulder the development of the northern and eastern states. That's how it is looked at. That's why successive finance commissions have given more importance to equity. Because the reality is, if the population is more, then resources required are more. If the area is more, creating infrastructure, it needs more money. That's the reality. So let's be in the reality. That's one kind of argument. So equity versus efficiency, an important dimension to criteria for horizontal devolution. There you may get a question in the mains exam. Take equity, discuss 3 criteria. Take efficiency, discuss 2 criteria. And then tell what southern states are demanding. Less criteria for equity, more criteria for demographic performance criteria. Then there is one more issue. Cess and surcharge. If the gross tax revenue is say 100 rupees, the union government is getting around 14 to 15 rupees through cess and surcharge. And this money, in this money, states don't have a share. What the union government is cleverly doing is, the rates of the taxes in the union list, they are not increased. Personal income tax, corporation tax. If the rate of these taxes increases, states will get a share in them. That was not increased, it was instead decreased. Corporation tax rate has come down in the last 25 to 30 years. But union government is increasing the revenue through cess and surcharge where the states don't have a share. And as a result, the states are demanding, give us a share in the cess and surcharge. Or else, reduce your revenue through cess and surcharge. Increase your revenue through taxes in the union list. We don't have a problem. If the revenue through the taxes in the union list increases, we get a share. But you are not doing that. What are you doing? You are trying to increase your revenue through cess and surcharge where the states don't have a share. So we are losing. So if you want to continue with cess and surcharge, give us a share. Center says, no, my dear, I cannot. Constitution doesn't allow. Then in that case, don't go for cesses and surcharges. Increase the revenue through taxes in the union list instead of cess and surcharge. If you do that, if that revenue increases, states will also get a share in the increase in the revenue. So this is one more bone of contention, right? That is the second dimension, criteria for horizontal devolution. The next one, fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit. With respect to fiscal deficit, what are the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission of India? See the first one. What is the fiscal deficit of the union government today at 25-26? Budget over? Budget class is over for you? Economic survey is over, na? So budget would also have been over. Over or not? Not over. Is the class on budget over or now? Okay. It is 4.4% of GDP. Fiscal deficit in 2025-26 for the union government, 4.4%. What is fiscal deficit? What is fiscal deficit? Every year, me, my wife and my both of 2 kids, our expenditure for an year is 12 lakhs. Through teaching, per annum 12 lakhs, not big money. Okay. Out of that, I am able to earn through teaching only 10 lakhs. So I am short of 2 lakhs. I cannot reduce my expenditure. Expenditure will never come down. Borrow and do expenditure. That's the only way out. So that is called fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit, it refers to the borrowing requirements of any government in one financial year. For example, if you take the budget for 26-27, the union government is trying to borrow 17 lakh crores roughly. That is the gap. So revenues of the union government from all these sources around 36 lakh crores. Gap is 17 lakh crores. That is called fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit simply means trying to borrow money left and right, borrowing money. Is that good or bad? Without increasing the revenue, it applies to even the family. For example, for the last 6 months, I did not have classes, assume. My expenditure will not come down. Every month I have to borrow. If I do this for the next 4 or 5 years, then bankruptcy. I have to commit suicide. Because those who have given you money as debt, they will not allow you in remain in peace. That's the danger. So when you borrow money, you should borrow very wisely, use it very productively so that you generate revenue on that and pay back the debt. It applies to even to the governments. So 16th Finance Commission has said the fiscal deficit of the union government should come down to 3.5%. 3.5% by 2030-31. Write down. Fiscal deficit of the union government, fiscal deficit of the union government, fiscal deficit of the union government should come down to 3.5% of GDP. Fiscal deficit of the union government should come down to 3.5% of GDP by 2030-31. By 2030-31. By 2030-31. What is it today? Write down there. 2025-26. 2025-26 hyphen 4.4. 4.4% of GDP. This is for the central government. What about the states? The fiscal deficit of the state shall not exceed 3% of GSDP. Write down the next line. The fiscal deficit of the states, the fiscal deficit of the states, the fiscal deficit of the states, the fiscal deficit of the states shall not exceed 3% of GSDP. Shall not exceed 3% of GSDP. For some states, it's above 4, above 3, some states below 3. But average, it should not be more than 3% of GSDP. GSDP, gross state domestic product. Then, the 16th Finance Commission has recommended to rationalize expenditure. For example, lot of money, it goes to subsidies. For example, if you take the states, the highest subsidy goes to the power sector. Discoms, we said, distribution companies. In most of these states, distribution companies are in losses. Why? Every government says free power because of that. So that's why 16th FC has said privatize distribution companies. Or there is a model in Gujarat and Haryana. Even if they continue in the public sector, if you follow the model in Gujarat and Haryana, their performance can be improved. Because a lot of taxpayers' money is going wasteful because of inefficiency of the distribution companies, Discoms. In the states, the highest subsidy is going to the power sector. And the power sector is not being run efficiently. And a lot of taxpayers' money is going waste in the form of subsidy to the power sector. We urgently need to reform the power sector, increase the efficiency, then we can save some money. So that's one recommendation. Okay. So reforms in the Discoms at the state level, either going for privatization or following the model of Gujarat and Haryana. That's one thing. The second one, 16th FC says, when you try to give subsidies, try to give them only for those who genuinely need it. That is called rationalizing the subsidy expenditure. Rationalizing the subsidy expenditure. For example, take my state of Andhra Pradesh. People get pension even between the age of 40 and 60. Old age people give pension. Disabled give pension. Widows give pension. Why for a person at age of 42, 43? Does the state government really afford that? Can it really afford that money? If you divert all the money for revenue expenditure, where is the money for development? So rationalizing subsidy expenditure is one thing. The next one, there is one article, Article 293, Class 3. Article 293, Class 3. This article says, don't write, I will dictate. If the state governments are already indebted to the union government, and if they want to borrow additional money, they should get the permission from the central government. And I said, from 2020-21, there was a scheme called Shashi, under which the union government is giving interest-free loans to the states, all the 28 states. All the 28 states, they are taking money from the center in the form of interest-free loans from 2020-21, which means now all the states are indebted to union government. If they want to borrow money additionally, the union government shall give permission to them. So 16th Finance Commission said, make use of Article 293, Clause 3 and regulate the borrowings by the state governments. Regulate, control the borrowings by the state governments. Is this a good suggestion or bad suggestion? It is good. If you give freedom to the states, they will borrow left and right and distribute it among the people. That's why N.K. Singh said, freebies, passport to financial disaster. Tamil Nadu, free color televisions. In many states, free power. Tomorrow, if you permit politicians, free liquor bottles, monthly so many bottles, because if they can get back the votes, that's not good for the economy in the long run. So that's one more recommendation. Then there is something called off-budget borrowings. What do you mean by off-budget borrowings? See, the borrowings which are made by the government, whether the union government or the state government, they are shown in the budget. They are called budgetary borrowings. Sometimes in a state, there are entities of the government like corporation. They borrow money. The government will pay the interest on that and it gives guarantee to that debt. But this is not shown in the budget. Then there will be no transparency. You will never get to know what is the debt in that particular state. Off budget borrowings which are not shown in the budget, they are increasing and there is no transparency. This will create a problem. So union government was also doing this, making off budget borrowings and not showing in the budget. But from 2016-17, the union government is showing them in the budget. Off budget borrowings, if made, they are shown in the budget. So 16th Finance Commission said all the states must not borrow, must not go to off-budget borrowings. If it is necessary, if you do off-budget borrowings, show them in the budget. This is one more recommendation. Write down all of these. Where did I stop? GSDP 3%. The next one. 16th FC, FC 16, FC 16, 16th FC recommended, 16th FC recommended reforms in the DISCOMs, distribution companies, power distribution companies. 16th FC recommended reforming or reforms in DISCOMs, distribution companies. That is to increase the efficiency. If the efficiency increases, subsidy will come down. Within the brackets, either through privatization, or following Gujarat and Haryana model. Gujarat and Haryana model. So if you want to read about this model, search in the Google. Even I don't know much about that. They are maintaining the DISCOMs in an efficient way. That's the point here. How they are doing? That's again, you need to read at a greater depth. Second one, next one. 16th FC recommended rationalizing subsidy expenditure. 16th FC recommended rationalizing subsidy expenditure by better targeting. Give it only to those people who really need that. 16th FC recommended rationalizing subsidy expenditure through better targeting. Better targeting means give the subsidy only to those who deserve it, not for everyone. Then, public sector undertakings. There are many public sector undertakings, both in the union government and also the states. If you take the central government, central public sector undertakings, those which are in the natural gas and petroleum sector, they're making a lot of profits. But there are many other public sector undertakings which are loss making. Our money is there in those public sector undertakings in the form of investments. So his 16th FC says, don't have mercy. All those public sector undertakings, whether center or states, if they're loss making, privatize. Let's unlock the money which is locked there. Use it for a better purpose. That's the next recommendation. Privatization of loss-making public sector enterprises. Privatization or closure. CLOSURE. Privatization or closure. CLOSURE. Privatization or closure of loss-making public sector enterprises. Loss-making public sector enterprises. Next one. The union government shall regulate. The union government shall regulate. The union government shall regulate the borrowings of the state governments. The union government shall regulate the borrowings of the state governments. Under Article 293, Clause 3, the union government shall regulate the borrowings of the state governments under Article 293, Clause 3. Recently, there was an example. Kerala went to Supreme Court. How can you stop me from borrowing? That's my sovereign right. Because Kerala doesn't have much industrialization. So the revenues which the government of Kerala is getting is not able to meet salaries, pensions, all of that. So they were wanted when they try to borrow money, center is making use of Article 293. So use of Article 293 can be both good and bad. How is it bad? If there is a political party belonging to the opposition political party, if there is government in the states belonging to opposition political parties, central government can misuse this provision. Kerala, BJP is not in power in Kerala. So Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they are in fight with the central government all the time. They fight for the rights of the states, nothing wrong. But what they do? Article 293 Clause 3 gives us power to regulate your borrowings. We are following the constitution. It is completely constitutional. The matter went to the Supreme Court. The matter is still pending in Supreme Court. Sometimes it can be bad also. But in most cases, it can be good. Unless there is a regulation or restriction, you know what the political parties will do. So to come back to power, they will do whatever is necessary, good or bad. So we need to have some control on that. Some few days back, this was there even in the Hindu. There was one case going on in the Supreme Court on freebies. So that's why that is important. Article 293, Clause 3. Then I said there are FRBM laws even at the state level. At the union level, it was enacted in 2003. In the states, it was enacted in 2007 onwards. So what Finance Commission, 16th Finance Commission has said is, I said FRBM Amendment Act 2018 has put targets. Debt to GDP ratio for the center 40%, states 20%, center and states together general government 60%. But what is it today? Debt to GDP ratio for center 56.1%, states 26.4%, together 80.5%. So 16th Finance Commission has recommended all the states should amend the state level FRBM laws. How they should be amended? If any state government is breaching the legally mandated limits, they should give an explanation to the legislature. So this is to fix a kind of accountability. Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Amendment Act 2018 has laid down certain targets like debt to GDP ratio for center, states and general government. In any case, for any reason, if any state government deviates from these targets, it must give an explanation to the concerned state legislature. That's right out. 16th FC has recommended amending FRBM laws at the state level. 16th Finance Commission has recommended amending FRBM laws at the state level. Providing for an explanation to the concerned state legislature providing for an explanation to the concerned state legislature if targets are not met. 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 So then we will move to DM grants. Give the heading Disaster Management Grants. Disaster Management Grants. The theory part I have already discussed. Now it's only facts. See the total money, listen, I will dictate later on. The total money which is allotted to all the 28 states for a disaster management at the state level. It is 2,04,401 crores. 2 lakhs, don't write, I will dictate. 2,04,401 crores. This is the total money given for disaster management at the state level for all the 28 states. And what are the funds at the state level? I said two kinds of funds. SDRF, SDMF. In this 2,04,000 crores, 80% will go to SDRF. 80% of this money will go to SDRF. 20% of this money will go to SDMF. That's one recommendation. Then the total money which is there in the SDRF, how it should be contributed by central and states? I just told you. 13th Finance Commission, what it said was repeated by 15th and 16th also. So in the SDRF, the total funds in the SDRF, 75% from the center, 25% by the concerned state. If you are a general category state. If you are a special category state, 90% by the center, 10% by the state. SDRF, SDMF, both. Similarly, we also need fund at the national level for disaster management. It was recommended at 79,406 crores. 79,406 crores is the total money for disaster management at the union level. This is again divided. 80% will go to NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund. 20% will go to NDMF. So that's it. Right on. And how the money is given to the states? What is the criteria? The center is giving money to the states for disaster management. What is the criteria? Two criteria. What is the expenditure made in the past 10 years? Which state has done what expenditure? That's one criteria. There is one index, disaster risk index, that also forms the basis. On the basis of these two, money is given. So right off. 16th FC has recommended. 16th FC has recommended. 16th FC has recommended 2,04,401 crores. 2,04,401 crores. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 2,04,401 crores for disaster management at the state level. For disaster management at the state level. For disaster management at the state level. For how many years? For 5 years. For 5 years. For 5 years. Next, 80% of this will go to SDRF. 80% of this will go to SDRF. 20% will go to SDMF. 20% will go to SDMF. Next line. The total allocation for disaster management at the national level. The total allocation for disaster management at the national level. The total allocation for disaster management at the national level for 5 years. The total allocation for disaster management. The total allocation for disaster management at the national level for 5 years is 79,406 crores. Facts, I said, facts are also important. So you should mug up. How do you remember? Write multiple times. Discuss with friends. That's the only way out. That's the only way out. I remember when I'm preparing for this exam, those who have geography as an optional, they might be knowing. There is one classification called a Thornthwaite classification, climatic classification, Köppen classification, Thornthwaite classification. Thornthwaite classification very complex and difficult to remember. So by then, Mantri Govinda Rao, he got into IAS, All India 31st rank, posted in Tamil Nadu. And one more, Pomala Sunil Kumar, All India 18th rank. They came to my room and I was asking them, this I'm not able to remember. They were asking me how many times you read, how many times you have written. 2-3 times, not enough. Do it for 10 times. I have really done that. I am able to remember it for almost 3-4 months. There are no shortcuts. So if there is something which you are not able to remember, read multiple times, discuss with friends, or write multiple times. Any one of these three. Otherwise, you cannot remember. Not all are good at remembering facts. So over 79,406 crores. Then who will contribute this money? The entire money by the union only. If it is at the union level, total contribution by the union. So the next one. 79,406 crores. 79,406 crores. Right on the next line. 80% of it goes to NDRF, 20% goes to NDMF. Over. Did I say that? Did I dictate that? 80% of this goes to NDRF. And 20% of this goes to NDMF. Full stop. Then, with respect to SDRF and SDMF, write down. With respect to SDRF and SDMF, with respect to SDRF and SDMF, the funding pattern, with respect to SDRF and SDMF, the funding pattern 75:25 for general category states. If there is 100 rupees in the SDRF, center will provide 75, state will provide 25. If there is 100 rupees in the SDMF, center will provide 75, state will provide 25. 90:10 for special category states. 75:25 for general category states. 90:10 for special category states. Okay. Then there is one more important recommendation. You know, because of climate change and global warming, cyclones have become much more frequent and severe. Similarly, droughts have become more severe. So lightning and heat wave, these are two disasters which are not mentioned in the national list of disasters. And because of climate change and global warming, these disasters have become more frequent. So FC16 has recommended including these two disasters in the list of national disasters at the national level. Write down. FC16 has recommended, FC16, 16th Finance Commission has recommended including a lightning and heat wave, including lightning and heat wave in the notified list of disasters at the national level, including lightning and heat wave in the notified list of disasters, in the notified list of disasters at the national level. Then, see, if there is a disaster of very high severity in the state, we all know that states ask money from the center. Where is the guarantee that they ask money from the center in a fair way? If the damage is 100 crores, they may say 1000 crores damage, give money. That's why 16th FC has said, if the states say if they demand 250 crores, first they should get ready 10% of that money. If they want to say 500 crores, they should first get ready with 20% of that money. So that it will act as a check on the states from making unsubstantiated claims. That you write down. States are to contribute 10% for assistance. States are to contribute 10% for central assistance. States are to contribute 10% for central assistance up to 250 crores. States are to contribute 10% for central assistance up to 250 crores. So if you are demanding 250 crores from the center, you should also contribute 10% of that money. 20% up to 500 crores. 20% up to 500 crores. 25% above 500 crores. 25%. 25% above 500. For example, if you are demanding 1,000 crores from the center, you should first contribute 250 crores. Then the government, central government will provide you another 750 crores. That's about DM grants. Next one, local body grant. This is the difficult part. Too many facts, lot of confusion. I will try to make it simple. The next heading, local body grants. Recommendations with respect to local body grants. Recommendations with respect to local body grants. If we are done with the local body grants, we are done mostly. And this is very important. Local body grants, very important. Another 15-20 minutes, I will try to complete. Write down. First, listen. The total, don't write. The total grant recommended for local bodies for 5 years, 7,91,493 crores. 7,91,493 crores for 5 years. And how this money has to be shared? We have rural local bodies, urban local bodies. What is the share of the urban population as per 2011 census? Roughly. What is the proportion of the urban population in the total population as per 2011 census? No, my dear, it's around 30. Around 30. That is in 11, my dear. We are now in 26. 16 years have gone. That would have increased further. So roughly around 40, assume if it is 40. So the 16th Finance Commission has said, in the total grant recommended to local bodies, 60% should go to rural areas. 40% shall go to urban area because it is in proportion to population. That's one recommendation. Then the money which is given to the rural local bodies, it is broadly categorized into two kinds: basic grant, performance grant. Performance grant will be given based on performance. For example, your director wants to give you some incentives for better reading students. So if you make this much score in the prelims demo test, this much money, like that. So the money in the local body grant for rural local bodies, some is given automatically. Some money is given only based on performance. What do you mean by performance? What do you mean by performance? When the local body grants are recommended to local bodies, there are certain conditions. The first one, the local bodies must increase their own source revenue. That's one condition. So they have used certain words in the summary of recommendations: T, T1, T2. I really found very difficult. In the entire report, he is not explaining what is T, T1, T2. You can go and check it. But I have read the report of 15th Finance Commission earlier, but I don't remember, but I knew that I will find an answer for this in the 15th FC. And I went back and I have seen the 15th FC. So here the point is, say for example, 2026-27. For this financial year, if you are demanding local body grants, then what they will see is, so the year before this, what is the year before this? 25-26. So the year before the current year, then this is called the year before the previous year. So 20, 24, 25. So in 2026-27, if you are asking money for local body grant, every local body what it should is in this year, in this financial year, what is your total revenue? What is your expenditure? How you made use of this money? You should maintain accounts. These accounts should have been verified, audited. You should put it in the public domain. Every local body for the year before the previous year, it should be ready with accounts which are audited. So when you make expenditure, you maintain the accounts. Whether that money is properly spent or not, it should be verified. That is called auditing. So for 24-25, audited accounts must be ready. They should be put in the public domain. Then for 25-26, provisional account should be put in place. If these two things are done, then you will get money for 26-27. That's one condition. Second condition, State Finance Commission, along with Finance Commission of India, we also have Finance Commission at the state level. So Articles 243 I and Y. Articles 243 I and Y. What is the role of the Central Finance Commission? The Finance Commission of India will recommend a share to the states from the central government tax revenues. On the same lines, the Finance Commission of India also recommends grants in aid to the states. Similarly, at the state level, the State Finance Commission has to recommend a share in the state tax revenues to the local bodies. Similarly, it has to recommend grants in aid to the local bodies. That's the role. When the State Finance Commission is created, is it there from 1950? A Finance Commission at the state level. Is it there from 1950? No. They were created under the 73rd Amendment, 74th Amendment. And here you see double standards. What the states, what the 16th FC has recommended 41. But when the consultations are done with states, they said, no, 41 is not enough. We want 50%. We want 50% in the divisible pool of the central taxes. That is the demand of the states. They should also give a share to the local bodies in the state tax revenues. Forget about giving, they are not even constituting the state finance commissions. At the state level, state finance the experience has been in most states, the State Finance Commission at the state level not constituted. Even if constituted, they don't give the report in time. Even if the report is given, they don't act in time, they don't implement it. That's why 15th Finance Commission has put a condition. From 23-24 onwards, we will not give any grant for local bodies if you don't appoint the State Finance Commissions, if you don't act on the recommendations of the State Finance Commission. And now all the states are doing that. So 16th FC has said, there are 3 conditions put by the 16th FC to get local body grant. Even the basic grant I am saying. 80% is basic, 20% is performance. If you want to get the basic grant, the first condition is this one. Audited accounts for the year before the previous year, provisional accounts for the previous year, they should be made available in the present year. Then you will get eligible. First condition. Second condition, in every state, State Finance Commission has to be constituted. It should give the report. And what action is taken on this report has to be communicated to the concerned state legislature within 6 months. If this condition is fulfilled, then you will get local body grant, basic grant. That is the second condition. Like these 3 conditions were given. The third one is having state finance commissions in place. Effectively, these are the 2 conditions. Unless a local body fulfills these 2 conditions, don't expect local body grant. You will not get it. You will never get it. Okay? Then I told this is basic grant. Then there is performance grant. A bit complicated. Understood till now? The total grant recommended for all the local bodies for the next 5 years, around 7,91,000 crores. Out of this money, 60% for rural areas, 40% for urban areas. Okay? And whatever goes to the rural areas, in that 80% is basic, 20% is performance. Okay? Similarly, in the urban areas, 80% basic, 20% is performance. Now, come to the basic. If you want to get eligibility to demand local body basic grant, these are the conditions. Audited accounts for the year before the previous year. Provisional accounts for the previous year. If you fulfill this condition, you will get money. The second condition, establishing a state finance commission, acting on the recommendations of the state finance commission. If these two conditions are fulfilled, you will get basic grant. Then there is performance grant. This performance grant is divided into two categories: state performance grant, local body performance grant. Local body performance grant, state performance grant. If you take local body performance grant, the condition is here is simple. When compared to the revenues in 2024-25, the revenues which a local body gets in 2025-26, it should be 1.05 times. The revenues in this year should be 1.05 times of 2024-25. Which means there should be an increase in the revenues. No increase, no performance grant. That's one condition. Then I said a state performance grant. So here 16th FC said in 2025-26, if the union government has given 100 crores as local body grant, state should have given another 20 crores to the local bodies. If this condition is fulfilled, state performance grant will be released. So you don't need to go to this extent, but it is there. I wanted to explain everything. So write down till whatever you have understood. I will go to the other areas then. Let's have a gap. If I keep on explaining everything, now we'll get bored. Write down the first few points. Another 10-15 minutes, it will be done. Very, very important, my dear. Next to 5 years, not just for 1 year. Prelims and mains. Because I am not going to get benefited now. My attempts are over. It's important for you people because you want to clear this exam. You should not leave any stone unturned. Every mark is very important. 1 or 2 marks, you miss many times by 1 or 2 marks. And when you know that a question for sure will come in one particular area, don't leave that. Write down the first one. 16th FC has recommended, 16th FC has recommended, 16th Finance Commission has recommended, 16th FC has recommended a grant of 7,91,493 crores. 16th Finance Commission has recommended a grant of 7,91,493 crores. 7,91,493 crores for local bodies. 16th Finance Commission has recommended a grant of 7,91,493 crores for local bodies, for local body grant for 5 years. For 5 years, for 5 years. Okay? In that, 60% goes to rural local bodies. In that 7,91,493 crores. In that, 60% goes to rural local bodies. 40% goes to urban local bodies. 40% goes to urban local bodies. Rural local body grant is again divided into rural local body grant is broadly divided into 2 categories. Rural local body grant, all the money given to rural local bodies. Rural local body grant, rural local body RLB, rural local body grant is broadly divided into 2 categories. Basic grant, performance grant. Basic grant, performance grant. Basic grant 80%, performance grant 20%. Similarly, urban local body grant. Similarly, urban local body grant is again divided into basic and performance grant. Same. Similarly, urban local body grant is divided into basic and performance grant. Basic and performance grant. Basic 80%. Performance 20%. So censorship, I'm not discussing anything further, but there are two things which are very urbanization premium. Just 2 points. Urbanization premium. I will try to explain this. Initially, even I did not understand this, what it meant. I went into the report, read twice, multiple times. Urbanization premium. Urbanization premium. So for this, 16th FC has recommended 10,000 crores for 5 years. What is this urbanization premium? Do you know that cities are the engines of economic growth? Much of the economic activity, much of the job creation, much of the revenues of the union and the state governments, they get it from the urban areas. So urbanization is very important. So what the 16th Finance Commission has said, if there are villages around the urban local bodies, and if they become part of the urban local bodies, then there will be an additional burden on that particular local body to provide infrastructure and services. So to support urban local bodies to manage this transition, peri-urban villages joining with urban local bodies will put an additional burden on the urban local body for creating infrastructure and providing services. So in this endeavor to support the local bodies, 16th FC has recommended 10,000 crore. That is called urbanization premium. Write down. Urbanization premium. 16th Finance Commission has recommended. 16th Finance Commission has recommended. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 10,000 crores. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 10,000 crores for 5 years for incentivizing. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 10,000 crores for 5 years for incentivizing rural to urban transition. Rural to urban transitions. Rural to urban transitions under urbanization premium. But there is a condition attached to this. That policy must be put in place, that a transition from rural to urban, for that every state government must come up with a policy. Then only will get this money, otherwise no. Last point. Special infrastructure component, special infrastructure component, special infrastructure component, special infrastructure component for urban local bodies. Special infrastructure component for urban local bodies. What is this? You all know that because of climate change and global warming, urban flooding has become a regular phenomenon. Chennai itself was an example for multiple urban flooding. Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune. So many states in this country are frequently witnessing urban flooding. And we know that in these cities, the existing capacity of the drains is limited to accommodate high amounts of rainfall, and they are badly maintained. So for managing wastewater in the cities with a population of less than 40 lakhs and more than 10 lakhs, every state, 2 cities will be given money. From every state, 2 cities will get this money. Like this for all the 28 states at the rate of 2 cities per state, total 56,100 crores. 56,100 crores was given. Write down, write down. 16th FC has recommended. 16th Finance Commission has recommended. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 56,100 crores for 5 years. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 56,100 crores for 5 years. 16th Finance Commission has recommended 56,100 crores for 5 years. As special infrastructure component. Special infrastructure component, that is the name given to that. As a special infrastructure component for selected urban local bodies. For selected urban local bodies. For selected urban local bodies. For wastewater management. For wastewater management. For wastewater management. This will be given for cities with a population. This will be given for cities with a population less than 40 lakhs but more than 10 lakhs. Only select cities were given. Cities with a population of less than 40 lakhs but more than 10 lakhs as per 2011 census. As per less than 40 lakhs but more than 10 lakhs. If you want to get eligibility, you should be in this bracket. A city with a population of less than 40 lakhs but more than 10 lakhs as per 2011 census, limited to 2 per state. Limited to 2 per state. From every state, only 2 cities are eligible. There may be many number of cities with a population between 40 and 10 lakhs. All will not be given. Every state, 2 cities. So for that, 56,100 crores. So in the context of climate change and global warming, increased urban flooding, to manage wastewater by improving the drainage system, this is the money which is given. That is called special infrastructure component for selected urban local bodies. Don't get confused. Tomorrow in the exam, in the prelims, suddenly he will say urbanization premium. Now you have heard the name. So you will not be in any pressure. You have heard it and you know what it is, and allocation 10,000 crores for 5 years. This is for wastewater management for 5 years, 56,100 crores. Only for select urban local bodies with a population of less than 40 lakh, more than 10 lakhs, 2 per state as per 2011 census. So with this, we have done most of the important recommendations, if not all. And I have shared the summary of recommendations in the group. So we just go through. Okay. So I have totally done the report of the 16th Finance Commission. Believe me, no other institute in India would have covered the report in so much of detail. Because you can check in the YouTube channel, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Do you think that the report of the 16th Finance Commission can be understood in 15 to 20 minutes without knowing the basics and everything? Even the recommendations, if they are discussed in detail, it will take 1 hour, more than 1 hour. Earlier 15th Finance Commission report, I made 8 videos. Every video 40 to 50 minutes. So that's the detail which I have given for you today. So with this detail, you can answer a question in the mains, a question in the prelims. We are left with one more, but I will not discuss. Compare the recommendations of 15th with the 16th. Say for example, local body grants, 2-3 minutes. 15th Finance Commission has recommended grants for 5th schedule and 6th schedule areas. In the 5th schedule areas, we have local bodies. In the 6th schedule areas, we have local bodies. But 16th FC has not recommended. Let the state government give that money. 15th FC said 60% tied, 40% untied. Here it said 80% basic, 20% performance grant. There are some differences. Then 15th Finance Commission, it has recommended million plus cities challenge fund. Separate allocations for million plus cities. Here you don't see that. So here you have urbanization premium. You tell that there is no urbanization premium in the earlier report. Special infrastructure component for wastewater management recommended by 16th. 15th has not recommended. 6 points, your answer is done. Sometimes there will be a questions. How the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission will differ with that of 15th Finance Commission when it comes to local body grants. That's how it might come. Okay. 15th and 16th, I done 15th. See, we have local bodies in the 6th schedule areas, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. We call them autonomous councils. 15th has recommended grants for them. Similarly, in the 6th schedule area, in the 5th schedule areas, we have PESA Act, Panchayat's extension to schedule 3-tier Panchayat Raj system was extended to 5th schedule areas in 1996 through a law. So the local bodies in the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule, they got grants from the 15th. 16th said no. State governments will give. Center will not give. That's one difference. 15th said the local body grant was broadly divided into tied grant, untied grant, tied, untied, tied, untied. That's the wording used for that. Tied and untied grant. 60% is a tied, 40% is untied. Untied means more freedom. You can spend it for any purpose. 60-40, both rural and urban. 60% tied grant, 40% untied, both for rural and urban. Here, we use the word basic and performance grant. 80% basic, 20% performance grant. Second difference. Third difference. Their 15th FC recommended million plus cities challenge fund. Million plus cities challenge fund. So special allocations for million plus cities. You don't see it here. Around 50 such cities were given funds. Here, that is absent. Then under 15th, urbanization premium absent. That was recommended by 16. There absent, here present. Here present. Then special infrastructure component for wastewater management present under 16th, absent under 15. Absent under 15. Then when money was given to rural and urban local bodies, the 15th Finance Commission took 2011 census population. But 16th is took 2026 population projected. We don't have any census. The estimate roughly for 20 whatever is according to that money will be given. So these are some 5-6 differences. If at all, if a question comes in the mains exam, comparing 15th and 16th, already criteria for horizontal devolution I have already explained. How the 16th differs from the 15th. I have explained and I have dictated. So I think much of it is done. Mostly it is done. So I have shared some documents with you. I didn't have time. There are data tables, around 61 data tables. I wanted to take you through them, but I didn't have time. You can go through by yourself. PPT running into 60 pages, I have shared it in the group. Then recommendation summary, I have shared it in the group. Some other information useful for you that is also shared. So everything is with you, you can read for yourself. So did this session help you? Is it meaningful? Would I give you clarity? Is there any confusion? Thank you for that. See, I gave you a free session in Hyderabad sometime back, few days back. I have read this report. I am eager to teach in every institution as a free session. So I have come on personal work to Chennai, just walked in, spoke to sir. So we became close. I asked for a session today. He readily agreed. So that's why that's how I came and taught. All the best for your prelims 2026. So do solve the PYQs. PYQs, but for both prelims and mains, PYQs are the torch bearer. So if you want to read the mind of UPSC, UPSC will never conduct any press meet. You have to read the mind of UPSC only through PYQs. So that thing you should do. Thank you so much. Everyone was patient listening to me. Sometimes in Hyderabad, I face many students not listening, disturbing the class. If they are not interested, they will not go out. They will make the teacher go out. So that creates a problem for me. I have to shout. But that's not the case here. Almost all the students are very, very studious. That's a good sign of you. Take it forward. And the tough times are ahead. UPSC is not that easy. I don't want to discourage. Try to be very sincere towards your goals. Without knowing, years pass by in this area, Anna Nagar. You turn back and see you will be 30s, 40, 32, 35, group 1, group 2, no job. Boys find it difficult to get married. Girls lose interest in getting married. So don't leave even your state service exams, group 1, group 2, apply for any government job, get into one government job immediately. So that your parents will give you some more time for reading, especially girls. Boys, they can get married, they can get good bride, all of that. If you are not into a job, You are not valued even by your own family members. I am facing that. I didn't get into any job. Even today, I feel that discrimination within my family. That you have not read properly. If you have read properly, would you have got job? So like that. At least I am into teaching. By the time you come now, you will not get even teaching opportunity also. Artificial intelligence will take over. So no work for doing anything. So that's the problem. Thank you.